It's 6 o'clock, and with your BBC News, I'm Miles Ashby. Sir Keir Starmer has insisted that he will continue as Prime Minister after he faced calls to stand down. Yesterday, the leader of Scottish Labour, Anna Sauer, said he should quit over concerns that allegations surrounding Lord Mandelson would distract from May's Holyrood elections. Today, the Prime Minister says he supported Mr Sauer 100% to be the First Minister of Scotland. When Sir Keir was asked if he would lead Labour into the next general election, this was his response.
Yes, I will. I had a 5-year mandate to deliver the change. I intend to get on with what I was elected to do, which is deliver that change. I'm really pleased that we've got a united cabinet behind me in that fight. We need to concentrate on bringing about that change, because for millions of people who are being held back by this system that we're in, they need us to be fighting for them, and that is what we're doing.
A vehicle has smashed into the front of a Newcastle designer shop in a ram raid. Northumbria Police says significant damage was caused at the Jules B store on Osborne Road in Jesmond in the early hours of this morning. In a statement posted on Facebook, Jules B says its team was deeply saddened and the store would be closed until further notice. No one is reported to have been injured. New ambulances in the North East will soon be painted white to save money. The traditional yellow paint scheme is being ditched to save around £1,000 per vehicle. The North East Ambulance Service says 75 vehicles have been ordered and says the new colour would not affect safety. North East journalist Kira Edwards is lifting the lid on the world of the neurodiverse in a new podcast. Everyday noises like air conditioning can send the stress levels rising if you suffer from conditions like ADHD. Kira, who is from Newcastle, has autism. One area which comes into focus is sleep. It's an issue she discusses with runner Tom Gilding.
I think specifically for sleep, I listen to the same podcast, just like stupid stuff that's like not important, not something that my brain needs to tune into, but their voices, like the way they contrast, is quite nice. I'm interested enough that it switches my brain off.
It's So Loud in Here is now available on BBC Sounds. Hundreds of people have signed a petition urging authorities to restore the River Tyne swing bridge. The Victorian bridge across Gateshead in Newcastle has not successfully rotated since 2019. The authorities say the cost of restoration was significant and would require external funding. The Geordie Challenger, also known as Paul McDougall, has finished his latest epic challenge. He ran the entire route of the Tyne and Wear Metro to raise money for children with parents affected by alcohol. He originally planned to do this completely alone, but ended up with a plethora of people behind him.
Some people running with us, some of those people were strangers, some are people who've been in my life for 30 plus years, but also sometimes I would get to metro stations and there would be strangers waiting there with banners. If it wasn't for the small support network I had the whole time and the wider support network I had some of the time, I don't think I would have got the job done.
And Geordie actor and musician Jimmy Nail wants Newcastle United fans to trust in manager Eddie Howe. Appearing on BBC Breakfast this morning, he said all fans can do is be patient.
Yeah, but I've been going up there for 60 years, so you learn patience.
Yes.
But patience these days is in short supply. But you just have to be patient. Eddie will get it right.
Newcastle are heading to Tottenham Hotspur tonight after a string of losses. And the weather for the North East. Tonight will be breezy with hill mist and heavy rain and lows of 1. Wednesday's going to start off cloudy and staying wet too, with further rain throughout the day, highs of 7. That's your latest BBC Radio Newcastle news.
Thank you very much indeed, Miles. Don't end news bulletins with phrases like a string of losses.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Puts everyone in a bad fettle. We could probably do with a win tonight. I have no idea whether that was Eddie Howe's first thought this morning, but if it was, you could hardly blame him. And it wouldn't be a huge surprise if exactly the same thought was running through Thomas Frank's mind. The head coaches of both Newcastle and Spurs have been taking some criticism of late. Tonight, the clubs go head-to-head in London in a match of huge significance. We will bring you the usual comprehensive coverage right here on BBC Radio Newcastle, incorporating build-up, team news, an opposition lowdown, commentary and post-match analysis, including your assessment of the match. It is a 7:30 kickoff. As ever, we have it all covered. Tomorrow, well, with more live action as Sunderland host Liverpool, so you'll hear tonight from Regis Lebris ahead of that game. We will keep you up to date tonight with everything else going on as well. Lots of football, and we're still waiting for Team GB's first medal at the Winter Olympics. Do get in touch with anything else that you think we should be talking about too on tonight's Total Sport.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
And mean, I always say we have it all covered, but maybe we've missed something. If so, do get in touch. Here are the contact details. 0800 234 6565 is the phone number. We've got Nathan and Colin on hand to take your calls this evening. 0800 234 6565. If you'd like to send a WhatsApp message, 08000 321 333. Start your message BBC. You can send us a voice note that way as well. If you want to send us a text, 81333. Again, begin with the letters BBC. Matthew Raisbeck and John Anderson are both at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as you would expect this evening. Good evening, fellas.
Hello.
Hello.
Pridey, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you.
All right?
Yes, all well, thank you. Marco Gabbiadini also on the show again tonight. Hello, Marco, how are you?
Good evening.
And in the studio with me is Nick Barnes, our Sunderland commentator as well. Hello, Barnesy.
Good evening.
So, let's start by talking about tonight's game. I mean, Razor, it's not Newcastle's biggest game in the Eddie Howe era, of course, but this nonetheless feels like a very big night for Eddie Howe.
Yes, and you mentioned it earlier about how there's pressure on both clubs and both managers, and yeah, something might have to give tonight, because Thomas Frank at Spurs has been up against it for most of his time in charge since joining last summer at Newcastle. I think that the intensity of the criticism and the scrutiny has really cranked up in recent weeks, and the run that Newcastle are on, no win in 5 in all competitions, and in terms of the Premier League, while they haven't won a game for more than a month, it was the Leeds victory when they came from behind on the 7th of January when they last put 3 points on the board. So the stats there show that the results aren't going their way, and we've seen the performances recently and how they haven't been to the standard that we think the team is capable of, and certainly to the standard that they've delivered in recent years. Spurs are having lots of problems themselves as well, so it's a clash between two sides that are struggling and that both need a result. If Newcastle were to win, I mean, this place here could get quite nasty at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. If Spurs were to win, then more questions would be asked of Newcastle and Eddie Howe, and then if it's a draw, I don't think anybody would be particularly pleased. So I don't think whatever happens, there's going to be some unhappy people following this match who've got a vested interest in it tonight.
Yeah, and team news coming up in, well, around about 8 minutes time, because remember it's an early kickoff, so we'll get the team news around about 6:15. What are you expecting?
I was expecting young Miley to come back in, but we're hearing reports that he hasn't even travelled, so that could be a blow. I think if that's the case, I think he may well go with 3 centre-backs and play Murphy at right wing-back, Hall at left wing-back. I don't think he can play Kieran Trippier. He's been running on empty. His legs haven't been working for him in the last couple of games. You know, he's been unbelievable here for us. He was a great signing, but he's not getting any younger, and asking him to play 3 games a week at his age it looks like it's caught up with him a little bit. So I would be surprised if he played. I think if it's true about Miley not being here, I think that's a big blow for Eddie Howe.
Well, we won't speculate too much about the team now, because it becomes redundant in just a few minutes' time, and we'll be able to bring you that team as soon as we get it. So, we'll just wait for the team to come out. What are the conditions like tonight, Razor?
Well, Pridey, they've actually just come out of they've just come out of the corner on the far side underneath the away end, the Newcastle players, and they're making their way around the pitch behind the goal. Looks very much like Anthony Gordon was the first player to emerge. We'd expected him to return to the squad tonight.
Was he holding either of his hamstrings?
Holding both of them.
Just in case.
Okay.
Yeah. Just in case, people were watching and monitoring. So look, we would think that he'd probably be in the squad, but on the bench on Ando, a very rainy night, and
it's horrible,
miserable evening.
We brought the weather from the northeast with us. It was okay when we got down.
Good work.
Mid-afternoon, but it's absolutely teeming down here at the moment, so it's going to be a wet night.
Let's hear a little bit from Newcastle's head coach Eddie Howe then. He is clear about how Newcastle can improve.
I think firstly we have to defend better. I think when you look back at the last run of games, we haven't defended our goal well enough. That's cost us in those games. So I think it's a simple thing to say and sometimes a difficult thing to execute, but we need to find solutions to our defensive vulnerabilities, and of course we need to be more clinical the other way. I think the two things go hand in hand. We've not defended well enough and we haven't been clinical enough the other end, so it's a bad mix, and that's the big issues for us.
Some fans have been critical of the players' efforts in recent weeks. We've heard from some of those supporters on Total Sport, but Howe says any suggestion that they aren't giving everything is wrong.
I would defend them. I think it's an easy criticism to make, in the sense that when you don't win and the performance wasn't at the level that we want it to be, to accuse the players of that. But obviously I see a different side. I see the preparation, I see the players in every moment, and I sort of get the feeling, like I've had groups that you would question their honesty. I'm not sat here always saying the same things, not necessarily here, because I think we've had some unbelievable teams, and the squad now I think is really, really strong in terms of psychology. But we have to answer those questions, and the only place to do that is on the pitch. So if there are suggestions that people felt that we didn't execute everything or leave it all out on the pitch, then we have to take that on the chin. But the only way to respond is on the pitch, and to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable to the highest standards.
I mean, Andy, I don't think you've ever felt that the players weren't giving everything, have you?
No, I don't think that's one thing that you could level at this group of players. I think they go out, they give it their all, game in, game out. Sometimes it's not good enough, and you hold your hands up and say it's not good enough. But no, I don't think you could ever accuse these players of not putting it in and not trying. I think what we're seeing at this moment in time now, Pridey, is a little bit of self-doubt, a little bit of lack of confidence, a little bit of lack of belief, and we all know that can happen when you start losing games. You start having that extra touch. It doesn't become instinctive because you want to try and make sure that everything's right, and I think there's a fatigue factor there as well. It's something that we spoke about last night, not just physical fatigue but mental fatigue as well. I think they're mentally done in as well, so, but I would I don't think I think to say that these players are going out on the pitch and they're not putting it in, no, I think that's wrong. I think they give it their all, game in, game out, and sometimes it's not good enough.
We've talked a lot about strikers as well from a Newcastle perspective, and Newcastle have started with 3 different centre forwards in each of their last 3 games. Anthony Gordon, of course, at Liverpool, then Nick Voltemade at City, and then Yohan Wissa against Brentford. Now, when Voltemade came on at the weekend, he then played behind Wissa, so another combination was tried there, but it was William Asula who finished the game up front. So he's trying a lot of different things. What's going on?
It's a valid question. I think we need to, and that's part of obviously the preparation when you were reviewing a game, which I did late Saturday night and most of yesterday. You're looking at the structure of the team, as you say, most important ends of the pitch, how you defend your goal and how you attack the opposition goal, and we need to find the best solution for the next game. And that may well something that keeps evolving until we find the solution that we like. We've got new players that we're trying to bed in to the team format. I've got to be honest, it's not quite functioned fully yet with the players that you've just mentioned, and that's something that we'll continue to do until we like the look of it.
We discussed this on the show last night, Razor, and it was mentioned, Alexander Isak was talked about again and how much maybe Newcastle are missing him. It was mentioned that the players there that he has now, the strikers that he has in Voltemade, Wissa and Asula, if you combined their best traits, you might get an Alexander Isak. But that none of them are kind of all-round strikers, perhaps the way that Isak was for Newcastle. And I guess he's just experimenting with different ways of playing, with the 3 different players up front, and trying to find a winning formula.
I think if you take the view of a number of fans, you would get different answers about who should start or what combination there should be. Probably we've heard on Total Sport this season from Newcastle supporters who would want Voltemade up top. Others will want Voltemade off Wissa. There are some fans, I've seen a lot of this since the weekend, saying that William Asula, now he's back from injury, should get a run. And there are plenty of others, and may even be some of the same fans who think Newcastle will need at least one new striker in the summer. So Eddie Howe hasn't settled on something yet, which he's acknowledged there. I don't think as a fan base there's a sort of an accepted view or wisdom on what the best option is up front. He's rotating, and of course, while they've been struggling and goals haven't really been coming, Harvey Barnes with 12 is the top scorer, Anthony Gordon's got 10, so not out and out strikers. He's trying to find the right combination, the right formula. If he wasn't rotating, if he wasn't looking at things, he would be criticised for being too, I don't know, set in his ways and having favourites as well. So it's a difficult one for him, but we can probably find out in a second who is in the team tonight and which way he's gone.
I think the team is out, isn't it? So yes, have you got it right there? Because I've got it now.
Yeah, I've got it.
Have it. I'm going to let you have the dramatic moment of revealing it then, because I think there's one player included that'll surprise Ando, put it that way.
Yeah, and there's 3 strikers on the bench again. Wissa, Osula and Voltemade. So Nick Pope plays in goal. Just trying to work out the formation here, and I think that could be a 4, couldn't it?
It's a back four with Byrne at left back, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's Pope, Trippier. Probably fair enough. Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Byrne, and then midfielders are Ramsey, Willock, and Bruno, with Elanga, Barnes, and Gordon the front 3. What I was just trying to work out there was whether Trippier would be at left back and maybe Chow at right back, but I think you're right, Bridie. So Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Willock, Bruno, Ramsey, Elanga, Barnes, Gordon, and a bench of Ramsdale, Hall, who probably needs a rest and taking out of the starting 11. Nothing to do with form, just managing his minutes after injuries this season. Tonali's on the bench, Wissa, Osula, Jacob Murphy, Voltemade, Alex Murphy, and Shahar. So Gordon is back and starts. No Miley still, and no Joelinton as expected. But he has changed it around again, Ando.
Yeah, and what does that say about the strikers if they're all on the bench? You know, I mean, we've just been talking about them there, and we've heard from Eddie Howe on that issue, and then none of them are playing. It's going to be Anthony Gordon through the middle.
That's what he did at Anfield a couple of weeks ago.
It worked all right for half an hour at Anfield. Remarkable recovery from a hamstring, I would say. Less than a week. But there you go. That's another topic, I suppose. But look, he did it. He did it at Anfield. Gordon through the middle, and it worked well. He put pressure on their centre backs, put pressure on the goalkeeper. Elanga's been lively. Probably deserves a start. It's interesting. I mean, young Hall sunk to his knees at the end of the game at the weekend, looked absolutely shattered, and he gets a little bit of a break. Him, and there's a few more in there who could do with a rest as well, but unfortunately, because of the way things are, he can't rest them all. So yeah, but it's a good point that you make, that there's 3 strikers on the bench. What does that say? Where, from Eddie Howe's perspective, in his mind, where he sees these strikers.
Yeah, well, let's see what people think about it, because I've just looked. I mean, Newcastle United published the team on social media. 6:15 they did it this evening, so I've looked at some of the responses there. They are less than favourable. Most people pointing out the fact that there isn't a striker. A lot of people not particularly happy that Kieran Trippier is in the team again as well. We'd love to hear from you on BBC Radio Newcastle this evening. 0800 234 6565 is the phone number. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp, 81333 on text. Let us know what you think about that team tonight without a recognised striker. One more clip of Eddie Howe to play. He's been talking about Newcastle's style of play and whether there needs to be a greater focus on possession as opposed to physicality.
There's, of course, challenges for us in possession and out of possession. We need to be better with the ball. I think that was evident on Saturday. We didn't have long enough spells in possession, which meant the control aspect of our game was poor. Very transitional game. In some senses, though, I think history tells us that the transitional games we're really good at. So the Leeds game, that helped us win that game. The fact it was end-to-end, the fact that it was open and our attacking players could take advantage of that. So it's very game dependent. Probably against Liverpool and Manchester City in recent games, the transitional aspect didn't help us. So it's always something that we're monitoring.
So that was Eddie Howe looking ahead to tonight's game, talking about how his team needs to play. Will the focus be on possession tonight? No strikers. They need goals. They are going to have to find a way past this Spurs side, Razor. That I don't know if you've seen the team tonight. I haven't seen the Spurs team yet, but they have their issues as well. We'll do a Spurs lowdown later, but it's a Spurs side not without their own problems. So Newcastle need to exploit that.
They do, and look, Spurs, I don't know, are they in the relegation conversation? They're 6 points clear at the moment. You'd think they'd have enough, but they're going in one direction, and that's downwards. 7 Premier League matches for them without a victory, though they have won a couple of Champions League games in that time. It's interesting, both clubs struggling domestically, but have advanced in Europe, and Spurs did so by going through directly to the round of 16, which Newcastle were unable to manage, unfortunately. Spurs have got so many players unavailable. Big players as well who would feature for them. Just trying to cross-reference and check against the team that they've published. But James Maddison, Rodrigo Bentancur, Mohamed Kudus, Ben Davies, Lucas Bergvall, Pedro Porro, Dejan Kulusevski, Kevin Danso, Richarlison, they're all out. Christian Romero is suspended. Now you would say that most of those are probably Spurs' frontline players, aren't they? Tonight they've got an 11 that is a strong 11, Premier League and international experience, but their bench, there's 4 or 5 youngsters there. Vicario in goal for Tottenham Hotspur, and then I think Archie Gray will be at right back. They've got Radu Dragusin, Mickey van der Ven, and then Jed Spence, who's just back from injury, in defence. Conor Gallagher, Yves Bissouma in midfield, and Pape Sarr, and then a front 3 of Wilson Odobert, Dominic Solanke, again just back from injury, missed a lot of the season, and Xavi Simons. So it's not a bad side for Spurs, but their depth, it just isn't there because of a lengthy injury list, something that Newcastle can identify with as well. But I think Spurs probably have more problems than any other Premier League team in terms of fitness at the moment.
Yes,
and form too.
Well, we will get the Spurs lowdown from one of our colleagues at BBC Radio London a little bit later. Dave from Prudhoe was the first to message when the team came out. Gordon starts, unbelievable, get him sold, was Dave's immediate reaction to that. What's your reaction? Do get in touch with us this evening. We'd love to hear from you Newcastle fans ahead of tonight's game. We're going to focus on Sunderland next.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
This morning on the show, John, who's a figure skating coach from Whitley Bay Ice Rink, came on to set us a bit of a challenge.
I got a little challenge for you guys. See if you can sing the Bolero.
The Bolero, now. The famous figure skating routine from Torval and Dean.
Yeah, I reckon I can teach you in the next week or 2 and get you performing it before the Olympic ends.
Right. Tomorrow morning you can find out how we got on at our first ice dance lesson, and I've got Sunderland tickets to give away. I'll see you then.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
Matt Bailey skating. That doesn't sound like it's going to go well, does it, fellas, really? I don't know. I've never seen him try, but I know a little bit about his coordination.
It's a slippery slope, is it?
Well, it's not really a slope, is it, if it's an ice rink, but I take your point. But it's difficult. Have either of you ever tried ice skating?
Yeah, I used to do it when I was younger. School trip to Billingham, what was it called?
Billingham Ice Rink?
Ice rink.
But they used to have a whole sports centre there. Yeah, I remember going there, and I think I did it again in London one time, but it's not an easy thing to do.
No,
is it?
I've done it once, and I was dreadful at it. I kept falling over. I was always worried someone was going to skate over my fingers.
Dangerous. Yeah, there's a lot of danger involved.
So I hope that doesn't happen to Matt.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll be all right.
And it hurts. It's not a soft landing, is it?
It's not a soft landing.
It's rock hard.
Barnsley, I can imagine you gliding around the ice. Would that be something you've ever done?
I've done it once, long time ago.
I bet you were a natural, weren't you?
Not to start with, no.
No, okay. Fair enough. Why did you never go back?
Well, the ice rink was in Bristol and I lived in Exeter, so it was a bit of a schlep.
Just a long way away
to get there. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Why carry on with that then?
Yeah.
Let's hear a bit from Régis Lebris then, Barnesy, because bearing in mind they lost 3-0 at the weekend, Sunderland fans seem to be pretty happy with the way that they played, judging from the messages that we were receiving last night and the calls. What's Régis Lebris been reflecting on the game of the weekend?
I mean, looking at the match reports, listening to what pundits had to say over the weekend, and having watched the game myself as well, I thought they played very well at Arsenal. And of course, Régis Lebris, takes on board the fact that they did, but immediately you mentioned that, says, but we lost 3-0. But I did wonder how impressed he was that he could go to Arsenal and try and be attack minded and not park the bus.
Yeah, to be fair, I think we played the game we wanted to play. We are bold and aggressive in our high press. I think our mid press was better if we compare with the first game at home. Our deep press was good as well, but they found solutions through shots outside of the box, which is a good solution against a deep block. We had good control on the ball with 50% of possession, which is I think is positive. But the main difference was about the level of threat, and I think they were really good at that. They created 5 or 6 chances, always with the ability to score, and maybe we created 1.5, which is the main difference. So positive in a way, because we know where we are in our journey, and I think it shows that we are getting better through this league, but still a long way to go to achieve this kind of challenge.
Before I get you to react to what Régis Lebris said there, Marco, about 5,000 people have already messaged in to say the Billingham Forum.
That was the name of it, yes. Gosh, halcyon days, the late 70s, early 80s.
At the Billingham
it's still
Forum.
there, isn't it? Anyway.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Régis Lebris there, I mean, he summed it up pretty well, didn't he? You know, Arsenal are a great side, so they did create better chances and were more clinical. But other than that, not a massive amount between the sides, really.
No, the margins weren't too big, and look, they're a good team and they've got strength in depth. They've got, quite a lot that, they've had injuries and they've found cover for the injured players, and they've had some players come back and they're getting a bit of momentum. They're in a bit. The only vulnerability for Arsenal at the moment is that confidence thing, is that belief that they can win this trophy, that they can win the league, and I think we tested that. I think we went there and stood up to them and then had a go. And look, this measurement of chances, I think we had some situations. There might not have been clear chances. The long ball where the goalkeeper came out the box and sliced it, if Talby had have run across him and tried to head it, if he had to switch places with Brobby would have run across and taken that ball and either got completely wiped out and the goalkeeper gets sent off, or he would have rode the challenge and probably tapped it into an empty net. And his chance in the first half as well, where he just needed to connect crisper with it. So there were some good opportunities from a header at the far post, wasn't there, towards the end of the game, and so I thought they did well. And 3-0, flattered. Flatter's hard word, maybe not the right word for a team that's top of the league, but they will be pleased. They were relieved probably when that third goal went in, because Sunderland were still very much in the game, and if they'd have got one back, it would have been a very, very twitchy last few minutes for the Arsenal.
We're going to hear some more from Régis Lebris now. Barnesy, Sunderland, well, they started the season pretty fast with a 3-0 win themselves, of course. But you've been talking to Régis Lebris about how they've kind of evolved through the season.
Well, I think in the light of the game at Arsenal, to go there, I think in the past we'd have seen them play maybe 5 at the back. They've certainly been much more defensively minded, but I thought they were bold on Saturday. I thought it was brave to go with the 4 and have a go. And I think, as Régis says, 50% possession sort of say to you that they enjoyed a lot of possession. I was the beginning of the second half, they had to spell 15-20 minutes. I thought they were playing really, really well. I thought if they could have just scored then, it might have been a different outcome. because we've seen other games that have been away and they've only had 25%, 30% possession. So to go to the league leaders and have that sort of possession, that to me shows a lot of maturity. So I asked Regis today, where does he think this team has come? Because they seem to have come on leaps and bounds since those first few games of the season.
Well, I think it's really positive, and the confidence is getting better. We have now more solutions to fix different problems. We have also more threats, because even if we didn't score, we feel that now it's possible to use different options. So it's a learning process. Happy from this side, but the score is the score, and we have to accept the defeat.
Marco, how do you feel the team's evolved through the season?
Well, most of it is to do with confidence, isn't it, and belief, and I think that's because they're clearly good players, but bringing a group of players like that together, so many of them in one transfer window, is never easy. But they found a balance and they found a rhythm quite quickly, and not only that, we then had some injuries and some suspensions, in those first 10 games, but the players that came in also picked up the baton and ran with it as well. So there was a lot of positive stuff. And then obviously you start getting results, and success breeds success, doesn't it? Especially in football. And we see it time and time again with teams. And then, you look at the Liverpools, and probably Newcastle are a good example this year, that sometimes you just get in a rut, and you've got the players, you've got the ability, you've got the togetherness, but you just cannot find a way to win games. And the confidence at times when you really need a break, you get a handball penalty decision go against you and things like that. But I think Sunderland have ploughed on, they've kept going, they've really believed in each other. And going to that game, and there was times in that game, again, I'll go back to a point I keep making about what the formation is. There was times in that game where Trey Hume was centre-back, Dan Ballard was in midfield, Siddiqui was at left-back, Renido was overtaking and overlapping on the left wing. They were, the rotation and covering that they do for each other is incredible, and it allows them to be able to play. It's notionally it's 4 at the back, but when we defend, it's all hands on deck, and they get back and get into positions. And also when they go the other way, if Alderete steps out of defence, he plays a through ball or plays a ball into a striker, and he's the nearest man, they carry on. They don't. It's so often you see defenders who play a forward ball and then they stop and drop back into their position. We don't do that. We play forward and we follow it, and it's a really interesting trait that we've picked up.
And so Liverpool tomorrow night, Barnsley, they haven't had the season that a lot of people would have expected them to after winning the title last year. We will talk more about them tomorrow and bring you the usual opposition lowdown. But they still have a lot of quality, don't they?
Well, look, Liverpool, Arsenal, it's the same for both teams. There's so much quality in the team that I said to the Regis today that if you make a small mistake, you get punished, as Arsenal demonstrated.
On the pitch and then on the bench as well. So after 65 minutes, try to control Trossard or Jesus, I don't know. And then you have 2 or 3 other big players coming off the bench. That it's going to be tough, but this is the Premier League. So this final part of the game is probably the most difficult, especially away, I think, because we are good at home with this extra drive, maybe this extra confidence. Away it's a bit more difficult. So we know the objective, the challenge, and we are working hard to improve it.
Yeah, looking forward to tomorrow night's game. BBC Radio Newcastle, of course, will be there. All the build-up, commentary, reaction afterwards as well. There's the old bounce-back ability thing, Barnsley. They have tended to bounce back well following defeats through the season. In fact, they have done so every single time. So we're hoping for the same again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And Dan Ballard says that was the talk of the dressing room straight after Saturday's game.
Our focus is now fully on Wednesday. And we're going to, attack the game the same way we've done all season, and we're going to play to win. So hopefully we can bring the same energy, the same performance, and the result will be in our favour.
Yeah, it's probably, Marco, not necessarily a case of them responding to defeats, but actually just maintaining the belief in themselves, doing the same things, and knowing that more often than not that will be enough.
Yeah, because I think if they play like they did on Saturday against Liverpool, I think they'll win, because I think Liverpool are tetchy. You look at Liverpool's recent results and their run, they haven't seemed to put, a marker down all season. And for a team of their spending power more than anything and recent success, you'd expect more. I'm sure Liverpool fans do. So, if we get to a similar position where it's 5 minutes to go in the first half and Liverpool, we're still 0-0, I can guarantee you the Sunderland fans will be right behind the team and really believing that we can get something for, a positive result on the evening, because Liverpool are probably somewhere between, where Newcastle are at the moment and saying and Arsenal, they just haven't got, they've got the players, they've got the quality, they've got the strength in depth, but they just haven't got the consistency and the belief at the moment. And I think it's an ideal fixture for us. They'll be coming into it thinking, okay, they are a promoted side still. We look at our team sheet, look at our experience as a group. They should win the game. That's what most people would say. But at the moment, I think most people would believe that this is a winnable game for Sunderland.
I think it's quite interesting that Reggie's touched on it today. There's been a lot of criticism or analysis of Sunderland's away form being seen as poor. But as Reggie said today, they've won 2 away from home. They've drawn quite a lot. They've lost 6 games this season, or 7 games or whatever it is. But Liverpool have lost 5 away from home this season as well. They're the champions.
Yeah.
They've drawn 4. They've only won 4 away games this season, Liverpool. So for a team who were the champions last season to have that sort of away form, I think it just puts into context how well Sunderland actually have done this season away from home. I don't think,
and they're coming to the home of the best home team in the in the league.
So I think sometimes we overanalyse that away form. Yes, Reggie Sabris is well aware that they need to be scoring more goals away from home, but they are generally defensively pretty strong.
Yeah, and they've put on some decent displays.
Put on some very decent displays.
Okay.
They've never played poorly for a whole 90 minutes. Sometimes it's the first half, sometimes it's been the second half, Burnley and West Ham. But they played well at Arsenal and they played, at Manchester City. Then they took a hit because Manchester City were in one of those moods where they were just imperious.
Yes.
But,
and that's going to happen in the Premier League against the best teams, of course it is. There will be a minute's applause in the 26th minute of tomorrow night's game for very good reason, Barnesy.
Yes, indeed. Very, very sadly last week, the former chairman of the Sunderland Supporters Association, George Forster, died on Tuesday at the age of 99, and in the 26th minute, the reason it's the 26th minute is because he was born in 1926. It was probably pushing it a little bit to have the applause in the 99th minute.
I know, because it's often the age that someone's passed away, isn't it?
It
but
is.
Yes, and, waiting for stoppage time.
You're waiting for 9 minutes at least, minimum of stoppage time.
Yes.
So 26th minute for applause. And George's picture will be on the big screens as well at the stadium, and rightly so. I think many people, many Sunderland fans saw him as Mr. Sunderland, because he was, it was his life.
And I'm sure, everybody will join in that, and if they do go to a 99th minute, why not do it again?
And at half-time, they're going to play one of his favourite songs, and I Can't Get a Ticket for the Game, as a tribute to George as well. So well done to the club.
Good stuff
for organising that.
Barnesy, thank you. Look forward to seeing you at the Stadium of Light tomorrow evening. It's time for you to have your say now.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Remember, it's a 7:30 kickoff tonight. Spurs against Newcastle United. Lewis Hall on the bench. Dan Burn looks like he's at left back. All 3 of Newcastle's strikers, Voltemada, Wissa and Asula, on the bench. Anthony Gordon starting through the middle. Do get in touch, Newcastle fans, with your views. Ando obviously in the stadium ahead of the game, ahead of our commentary. And on the line is Wayne, who's a Newcastle fan. Good evening, Wayne.
Good evening, Friday. Good evening, Ando. And is that Marco?
I'm here, yes. Hello, mate.
It's Marco tonight, yes.
It's good evening, Marco. Sorry,
hello,
I
mate.
apologise not remembering who it was there.
It's okay.
I sometimes don't remember who's on with me, to be fair, Wayne, so don't apologise.
Yeah, well, I'm actually in the Netherlands myself at the moment.
Are you?
I am. I'm actually in Amsterdam at the moment.
Okay, living it up in the Dam. Are you watching the game over there?
I am, yes, I will be. I've just seen the lineup. It's a very interesting one tonight, don't you think, John?
I do actually, yeah. There's no doubt about it. He went with Gordon through the middle against Liverpool last Tuesday, and for 35-40 minutes you would say that it worked very well. Got ourselves in front, and he's obviously hoping for the same sort of outcome tonight. Interesting that he's got 3 forwards on the bench, but that's the way he wants to go. I'm surprised. The one thing I would say, Wayne, is I'm surprised Kieran Trippier is playing. Look, it's nothing against Trippier. Actually, I just think in the last couple of games he's looked like he's struggled. Interesting to see Dan Bourne at left back as well. But look, he's rotated a little bit. Obviously, he's brought Ramsey in, and he's left Tonali on the bench. Elanga starts and Barnes on the left hand side. So look at there's a lot of quality in there. It's just about putting it all together. Look, the confidence is a little bit flat
in the balance of the team, isn't it, John?
Yeah, it is. And look, it's about confidence and belief as well. We haven't been able to win games lately, and we know that winning football matches breeds confidence, breeds belief. When you lose in football matches, you lose that confidence, you lose that belief to a degree. But I suppose if you wanted a game, Spurs is probably the one that you would want, because I think that they've only won twice here all season. They're not having the best of seasons themselves. They've got. I mean, we're going on about our injury list. Dear, oh dear, the injury list that Spurs have got so unbelievable. So, hopefully, we'll be able to take advantage to that, and we'll be hopefully back on track again.
Hopefully, I think it's a massive game this tonight, John. I would say it'll all come down to who wants it most, won't it?
Yeah. Look, I watched Spurs at Manchester United. Obviously, the sending off had an effect on the game, but I thought they worked hard. Manchester United just had that better quality, and they made the extra man tell. But we've got to try and do exactly the same tonight. I think the one thing we've got that they haven't got is we've got pace in those forward areas. And hopefully we'll be able to test their back four out. Obviously Romero's not there, haven't been sent off. They brought Dragusin in. Van de Ven, very exceptionally quick. Young Archie Gray, the boy they got from Leeds, will play at right back. He's not a natural right back either. So we've got to take advantage of these situations, and hopefully we can do that tonight.
Of course, yeah. Would you say it's just about getting on the front foot straight away and trying to just hassle them into being able not to play the ball around?
Yeah, look, this place could get very toxic if things don't go right for Spurs. If we were to score early, all of a sudden this could become not the place to be for Spurs players. There'd be nowhere to hide for them. The manager's come in for stick. He's been under the microscope all season, to be quite honest. And he hasn't.
Just as bad a season as us.
Yeah. Worse, probably.
Well, definitely.
It is. I mean, it's amazing where you see where they are in the Champions League. It's incredible to see the position that they're in the Champions League compared to where they are in the Premier League.
Maybe that says something about the strength of the Premier League. Wayne, we'll have to leave it there. But are you watching tonight? Are you going to watch tonight in a bar or one of those coffee shops?
Yeah, just a ball do for me, Brady.
Fair enough. Okay.
And
I'm thinking of booking a trip to Amsterdam and going on one of those pancake boats where you just get to eat as many pancakes as you can on a boat trip. So if you try that, let me know how it goes. Okay.
Okay, right. Speak soon. Thanks very much, guys.
He doesn't fancy that, does he? He's got other plans for Amsterdam, isn't he?
And to be fair, those are those pancakes that are about 2 centimetres wide, aren't they? They're awful. What do you want
you can eat as many as you want, though. If you book up one of those trips.
Dutch cuisine is one of the worst in Europe, isn't it? I think.
Oh dear.
Chips and mayonnaise, nothing wrong with that.
Well, yeah,
Anyway,
if that's your highlight, there you go. Rest my case.
I'm not going to knock it till I've tried it.
Some of that cake is all right.
Is it now, Ando?
Yeah, well,
What
yeah.
particular kind of cake
Apparently.
do you like? Yeah?
Apparently, I've been.
What kind of
so I've
cake?
been told.
Okay. Oh, so you have
I must have missed that. I was in the chip shop.
I'm not a cake lover, so I wouldn't know. But I've been told that some of that cake is very nice.
Thank you for that, Ando.
Anna Foster, weekday mornings from 10.
On apps like Facebook, Instagram, there's a new option to pay a monthly subscription for ad-free use. We thought let's enlist the help of a tech expert, Will Guyot.
We all signed up to maybe Facebook 10, 15, sometimes almost 20 years ago, and we never read the terms and conditions then. And somebody said to me the other day to read the full terms and conditions on Meta's platforms would take you something like 16 hours. And I'm not even exaggerating, there's so many pages tucked away and sub-clauses and da-da-da-da-da, because it's been built up over time.
Anna Foster, weekday mornings from 10.
Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
And this is Total Sport on BBC Radio Newcastle. Simon Pride, Marco Gabbiadini and Ando at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Red and white Gaz at Nissan has a point to make to you, Ando.
All right.
He says, can you please tell Ando, Newcastle are not playing 3 games a week, as he keeps saying. They're only playing 2. Get it right.
All right, okay.
That's the point he makes, isn't it? I mean, you can
Fair
argue
play,
that
yeah.
they're playing 3 games in 7 days sometimes, if you kind of take a 7-day chunk. However, it is kind of, 2 games a week, which is still a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, well, it must be an awful lot easier when you're only playing 1 a week.
I think it probably is for any team, isn't it? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Rob, who is a Sunderland fan. No, looking forward to tomorrow's live match on BBC Radio Newcastle, which is Sunderland against Liverpool at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland unbeaten at home, still. Rob, only team in the Premier League with that record.
Well, of course, but tomorrow night's our 13th home game of the season, so I'm not counting any chickens, believe me. Looking forward to it, though. Yeah. We can give Liverpool a game. I think we can go on the match feeling very, very confident. Not overconfident, of course, because they're still a quality side. But I think it's a game we can look forward to.
I missed what you said there, Robbie. We're not a quality side, did you say?
No, I'm saying we're a quality side. And
Right.
it's a game we can look... Liverpool are a quality side as well, And I
Right,
think it's a game we can look forward to. Yeah, you must have heard me, yeah.
Sorry, yes, I miss. Yeah. No, look, they're obviously you've got to be wary of a team with the talent they've got in their hands, really. But look, they haven't been the team that we know so well. The Salah just doesn't have that mercurial talent that he had. Virgil van Dijk at the back, just not the same player as we've seen in past years. And those key players, if you lose 2 or 3 of those, you are the. I mean, they were. How many seasons on the trot they got to? They were around that 100-point mark for 3 or 4 seasons. Well, I mean, I think they got 100 points and didn't win the league, didn't they?
Yeah.
1 year, I think.
Yeah.
But they're nowhere near that.
No, if you go in planning to lose, you will lose. But I think we've got a lot. Nothing seems as though it phases our side. Yeah, of course. We have our days like what we did on Saturday, like what we did at Brentford, where we were on the back of 3-0 defeat, and they'll stay in the record books forever. But basically, nothing seems as though it phases our side very much. And I think we'll give Liverpool a game tomorrow. And it's a game I think I'm very much looking forward to. And as I say, going through this season, I still say we're just living the dream, aren't we? And being where we are, it gives hope to every promoted side coming up this season, and we can do it, so can everybody else. But yeah, I am looking forward to it tomorrow against a good Liverpool side, because they are one of my favourite sides in the Premiership, apart from ours, of course, But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you look at opposition, and as Liverpool will look at us, you look for weaknesses, as probably Arsenal did as well. Yeah. And really, our only weakness is, in my opinion at the moment, is that we maybe don't score enough goals, and we, our centre forward, although Broby's been, he's turning into one of these, cult heroes, isn't he? I think the fans love him, but we haven't got that prolific player up front, or even two or three of them like the Arsenals have. They put on a player who's, one of their leading scorers in Europe last year. I know he's had some struggles this year, but that's the difference. And so, but apart from that, we are a very solid unit, and not too many. There are, you can't say, look, let's do them down the right hand side because they're weak down that side, or let's go through the middle because they're weak down the middle. There isn't really too many soft spots, are there?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you look at our side, and it's got strength all the way down the spine, right from goalkeeper, centre half, centre mid, centre forward. It's got a strength down the spine, and then you've got players who can, like Tabley, who can sort of change the game in an instant, and that's where I think we're looking very, very strong, and that's why we are where we are. League tables don't lie, and although we're not going to get very much higher, I wouldn't have thought. At least now, we're starting to be competitive. And every other team that we play this season have known they've been in the game when they've played us.
This is true. Yeah, Rob, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
I think we'll win 2-1. I really do.
Okay. Rob, thank you, and enjoy the game tomorrow. Great to speak to you.
I'll say to you back tonight, Andrew, as well. Yep. Okay, see you later, lad.
Mate. Thank you. That is Rob, who is a Sunderland supporter, looking ahead to tomorrow night's live match on BBC Radio Newcastle, Sunderland versus Liverpool from the Stadium of Light. That one is an 8:15 kickoff. Tonight's game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium kicks off at 7:30. Let's talk a little bit more about Newcastle's opponents tonight. Then I'm delighted to say that Nick Godwin from BBC Radio London joins us now. Good evening, Nick.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on the show. We've been talking about Eddie Howe being under pressure, as I'm sure you can imagine. How are things for Thomas Frank?
He's been under pressure for a while, and there have been sections of the Tottenham support that have been calling for him to go for quite a while now, but he remains in place. I'm not sure that there is the appetite to dismiss him internally. Despite the fact that an increasingly significant portion of the Tottenham fan base is kind of fed up with the form, particularly in the Premier League.
I mean, there is a ridiculous list of absentees, isn't there? So Thomas Frank certainly has mitigating circumstances.
Yeah, it's a very long list, and it keeps getting longer. They lost Destiny Udogie the other day at Old Trafford. Obviously, Christian Romero now starts a 4-match suspension. There's no Kevin Danso as one of the other defenders who would probably come in, so Radu Dragusin, who's had very little football, makes only his second Premier League start of the season today as well. James Maddison is the biggest loss, the inventor, the creator in advanced areas from a Tottenham perspective, but you've also got Richarlison, Lucas Bergvall, a promising youngster as well, is not available. The list is really, really long, but unfortunately, you can talk about injuries as much as you like. The Premier League table doesn't lie, and the home form doesn't lie. 2 Premier League victories all season here, and that is the most difficult statistic when you think about any Premier League team. If you don't win a substantial portion of your home games, you're going to be in a very, very disappointing position in the Premier League table, which Spurs are.
What's the atmosphere been like in the stadium then, as a result of the form generally and particularly the home form?
Yeah, not very good, really. The last home game I did here was the FA Cup game against Newcastle, where Spurs actually made a bit of a game of it towards the end, but the Villa reserves, or the Villa much-changed team that played, were very, very much superior to the Spurs team that played. I think the Champions League's been quite good here. Borussia Dortmund were dismissed handily by all accounts. Dortmund were awful, apparently. As I said, I wasn't there for that one, but Spurs won quite easily, and again did well in Frankfurt against Eintracht Frankfurt as well. So Europe's been the redeeming feature, but yeah, Premier League games here for a while now have not been great. I mean, they've lost to West Ham here late with a Callum Wilson scruffy set-piece goal. Those are the sort of things that just enrage Tottenham fans, and their next home Premier League game here is against Arsenal in the North London derby. So there's a lot to worry about there, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, look, Nick, just looking at at this Spurs side. You would say in midfield, it's not a weak midfield, is it?
I suppose that depends on your assessment of some of the Spurs midfielders that have been here for a few years and not done a great deal. I mean, I like Conor Gallagher. I thought that was a brilliant signing, actually.
Yeah.
And when Gallagher came in during the January transfer window and they were in for Andrew Robertson at Liverpool, I thought this is a departure. This is a change in approach that Spurs are desperately needed. They're bringing in some leaders. They're bringing in some players with high standards that that are going to ask more of the players around them. Robertson didn't come off, and then Spurs stopped buying players. So yeah, Gallagher's a positive. Bissouma and Sarr, I don't really know what they do. They're very energetic. They're combative, but they don't create. They're not particularly reliable defensively, I don't think. I mean, you know, this is
great. That's great. You've cheered me up now, and now I feel absolutely.
Yeah, there was a Spurs fan in the lift on the way up here, and he works in the media. I didn't realise he was a Spurs fan, and I made some of these points about some of these players, and it did not go down well. So I'm not the most popular person in the stadium at the moment, really, because you know I think there's been a recruitment issue at Spurs for a while now, and again I thought it was going to get addressed in January, but really it hasn't. And yeah, you bring in Bentancur's injured, but Bentancur, Bissouma, Sarr, it's a rotation of midfielders. Sometimes they come in. Palhinha is probably the best of the lot. He's on loan from Bayern Munich, but they come into the team, they come out of the team. There's no consistency. They just all seem to do a job which isn't entirely clear. This is not a Thomas Frank criticism. I think the same issue Ange Postecoglou had as well. So yeah, it's a tricky time for Spurs, because your last contributor about Sunderland, talking about that Spurs spine.
Yeah,
the Spurs spine is worrisome. Van der Ven is great, but he's injury prone. Romero is, for me, I'm afraid, a liability because he keeps getting sent off. And then these midfielders, it's all a bit difficult to pin down exactly who the first choice top midfielder is. Solanke is back and he's scoring goals, which is brilliant. But yeah, the Spurs lack a definitive, identifiable spine, I think, and that is one of the difficulties they've had, again, particularly at home, when you have to go out and command the stage here. It's a beautiful 61,000 capacity stadium. It's one of the best in the world. It's probably the best stadium I've ever walked into, and yet on the pitch it's been so disappointing.
Nick, thanks ever so much for talking to us.
Cheers, Nick.
That's all right.
Hey,
and always having to cheer you up. Absolutely, you know, it is absolutely pouring with rain here. It's a miserable night. But if I can make Ando smile, then I've done something useful this evening.
You've done that, and probably the Newcastle fans listening as well. Nick, thanks ever so much. Nick Godwin from BBC Radio London, covering the game for our colleagues in the capital. Just time for the news, and then the continued build-up to tonight's 7:30 kick-off to read a few more of the messages out. Brian's been on, and Brian says Spurs fans call their team Dr. Tottenham, as they always seem to provide a tonic for struggling sides at their stadium. Equally, we could be called Consultant Toon with our shocking away record. We can't afford to lose, but I would take a draw. But would Ando? Asks Brian.
I think we've got a big opportunity tonight. But would I take a draw? Yeah, if you offered it to me. But I think there's an opportunity to get all three here tonight.
Peter, in defence of Anthony Gordon, says Gordon is obviously the new scapegoat now that Longstaff has gone. He is performing no worse than anybody else. It is ridiculous the stick that he gets while others get a free ride. That's Peter's view.
I think Gordon's one of our better players. I think he's always an outlet for us. I think his energy is vital to the way that we play. You know, on that left-hand side, I think against Liverpool last week, I think his energy through the middle caused Liverpool all sorts of problems. He got in around Kanate and Van Dijk, closed the goalkeeper down, got booked for it. But you know, that was something that we used to do on a regular basis. You know, push people back, and his energy. He does that. So look, I haven't got a real problem with Gordon, to be quite honest. I'm just amazed he's fit to be after coming off.
Okay. Rod in Washington says 2 out of 4 signings from the summer on the bench tonight. It's disgraceful, no striker again. How many times does Eddie have to play Gordon at centre forward before he realises it doesn't work? It's unbelievable, really, says Ron. Thank you for your message, Ron. And Raymond says, I can't believe that the manager has left Trippier in. It is a recipe for disaster. You can keep those messages coming in. We'll have time for a few more after the news. 08000 321 333 if you're on WhatsApp, 81333 if you're on text. Start your messages with the letters BBC. We would love to hear from you before tonight's 7:30 kickoff.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
Play BBC Radio Newcastle.
and on your radio.
The sound of the North East is BBC Radio Newcastle.
At 7 o'clock with the BBC News, I'm Vicky Carter. Sir Keir Starmer has said he will never walk away from the country that I love after surviving a day of political instability which saw the Scottish Labour leader call for his resignation. The Prime Minister has faced questions about his leadership for months following numerous U-turns and a drop in his government's popularity. The Labour Party chair, Anna Turley, emphasised how united her colleagues were.
We have a parliamentary Labour Party that absolutely backs him to the hilt. We have a cabinet that backs him to the hilt. We have a determination and a mandate from the British people. And we have a Prime Minister who is there to fight, who is absolutely determined to deliver for people.
A 13-year-old boy has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after 2 boys were stabbed at a school in London this afternoon. Officers were called to Kingsbury High School in Brent, and 2 boys aged 12 and 13 have been taken to hospital, with one taken to a major trauma centre as a priority. Met Police say both boys are believed to be in a serious condition. An Afghan asylum seeker has been found guilty at Warwick Crown Court of raping, abducting and taking indecent videos of a 12-year-old girl in Nuneaton last July. Ahmed Molakil, who's 23, was cleared of a second count of rape. He'd already admitted another count of rape during the same attack. A teenage boy has been sentenced to at least 13 years in custody for the murder of 12-year-old Leo Ross. He was stabbed as he walked home from school in Birmingham in January last year. The 15-year-old, who at the moment can't be named for legal reasons, but those reporting restrictions could be lifted, pleaded guilty last month. Detective Inspector Joe Davenport from West Midlands Police made a statement on behalf of Leo's foster family.
While we acknowledge the court's decision today, it marks neither closure nor healing. It is simply another step in a journey of grief that began with the murder of Leo.
A Turkey butcher who murdered her girlfriend with a kitchen knife and buried her body in a garden more than 15 years ago has been found guilty of murder. Derby Crown Court heard how 40-year-old Anna Podedvorna killed Izabela Zablocka. Her dismembered remains were found in June last year in the garden of the house in Derby where the women had lived together. Anna Podedvorna was convicted of murder, perverting the course of justice and preventing a lawful burial. She'll be sentenced tomorrow. The Environment Agency has warned the public to remain vigilant to the risk of flooding. 97 flood warning remains in place across England, and experts estimate 300 properties have already been flooded. Chloe Tinson manages a horse riding school in Cornwall.
It's pretty bad now. All of the roads are flooded, the fields are waterlogged. I think that whole seasonal depression thing is real at this point because we cannot see the end of it.
And there are 4 Premier League matches taking place tonight. Chelsea host Leeds, Bournemouth travel to Everton and Tottenham at home to Newcastle. After that, United are away to West Ham. You're up to date. It's 7:03.
United.
Total Sport North East.
Call free 0800 234 6565.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
It's more than one United, you know. Our match tonight on BBC Radio Newcastle is Tottenham Hotspur against Newcastle United. It kicks off at 7:30. Let's just get a reminder of the team news.
You can have the team news. Pridey, Nick Pope's in goal. Young Miley, he hasn't travelled, so Kieran Trippier keeps his place at right back. Malik Chow, Sven Botman. Dan Bourne plays at left back. Young Hall's given a breather. He's on the bench. Jacob Ramsey comes into midfield to place at Tonali, who's also on the bench. Guimaraes and Joe Willock are the other 2 midfielders. No centre forwards in the side. Anthony Gordon plays through the middle. Harvey Barnes plays on the left, and Anthony Alanga on the right.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Ando at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Razor will be joining him. Commentary coming up very shortly. We've also heard from Sunderland fan Rob on the show tonight, and he says tomorrow night's game against Liverpool, well, it holds no fears.
We have our days like what we did on Saturday, like what we did at Brentford, and they'll stay in the record books forever. But basically, nothing seems as though it phases our side very much, and I think we'll give Liverpool the game tomorrow. And it's a game I think I'm very much looking forward to.
At half-time tonight, you'll hear a little bit more from Reggie Slabreese ahead of that game, and a bit from Arne Slot as well. I'll round up everything else that's going on, all the other scores too, and a bit of a Winter Olympics roundup. We still haven't won a medal, sadly, at Team GB. Hopefully that will change at some point soon. But if you want to have your say tonight, I imagine it'll be mainly Newcastle fans getting in touch from here on in. Well, we would, of course, love to hear from you.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Marco, I'm going to do a couple of Sunderland messages and then let you go, so you get a nice early finish tonight. Philip is talking about the kick-off time tomorrow, obviously 7:30 tonight, 8:15 tomorrow. Philip doesn't like it. It's past my bedtime, tomorrow night's game. It's a crazy kick-off time, says Philip. It does make a difference to people, doesn't it?
Of course it does. I mean, I'm coming up to see the game. I'm probably, I've got a bit of a drive, obviously, after the game. I'm going to get home till way after midnight tomorrow night, I would think. So, yeah, it's finding it a bit annoying. I mean, seems to be this anomaly, like Newcastle tonight kicking off at 7:30, so you can watch half of a game, and then so you can watch 1.5 games basically in your evening's viewing.
Yeah,
which,
well, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to lead to. We've already discussed this. There are going to be 7 o'clock kickoffs, and then there'll be 9 o'clock kickoffs, and then there'll be back-to-back midweek games. That'll happen.
Well, if we all stop gambling, it wouldn't happen, because I'm sure it's linked to live betting and live in-play betting.
It's more just linked to TV coverage, isn't it? And so that the one of the biggest drivers of the income of the Premier League is the Asian betting markets, which are huge, and that's can be the only reason. Can you give me another reason? Just viewing figures generally, because if people can watch 2 games,
but not many people watch. I mean, the numbers aren't huge for these games, are they? They're not huge. They're not high millions, are they? They're watched by fans. So they're not going to make that many. So why would a Newcastle? What difference would it make if you want to watch the 8 o'clock kickoffs tonight or the 8:15 kickoffs tonight? You're not bothered really too much about Newcastle or Tottenham.
So why is there 8 o'clock kickoffs on a Saturday night then?
Well, that's again to fill another gap. It's to fill another gap, John. Well, it just gives more opportunities for live betting. It must come down to that. Somebody might be able to come on.
You can still do live betting when the match isn't televised. Matches are televised abroad, even when they're not.
But it's not about the televised side of it. It's the in-play time. You've got an hour and a instead of an hour and instead of
play on any time. Doesn't matter when the game is, does it? Why is that?
Yeah, but
why does that make a difference?
Because you've got a 45 minutes extra betting time now. Because we never used to kick off
more than one match a month. If matches are simultaneous, why does it mean more people?
I know, but you're stretching the games out, aren't you? You're covering more hours. It's like you said. If you go to a 6 o'clock kickoff and a 7 o'clock kickoff and a 9 o'clock kickoff, instead of just watching football between traditionally quarter to 8 and I don't know when does it finish, 20 to 10.
I've not seen any research you're watching on this, but it's a theory. I mean, I know there's globally betting on football is a massive thing, but whether that's anything to do with the kickoff times changing, I'm not sure. I'm joining out in the spring.
If you can give me another reason, I can't think of anything else.
Simply for TV audiences, without considering betting. If you're going to bet on a match, you can bet on a match whether it's simultaneously running with another match. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I get that, but the market, the people who bet on these matches aren't football fans or Liverpool fans or Newcastle fans. They're not even, as I said, they're not even football fans. They just want to bet on live action.
Yeah,
and so they get more live action by doing these kickoff times.
John in Hilton Le Springs says, can I just point out, Régis Lebris has confirmed in his interview today Sunderland did play a deep block when defending at Arsenal, which I tried to explain last night, but I was just poo-pooed by Marco. It's just too deep to retreat to the 6-yard box when defending. So John has been proved correct.
But a deep block is what? If you play a deep block for the game, we didn't play deep block for the whole of the game. We played deep block when they had possession in the final third. That was a deep defensive line.
So it's maybe
our tactics were to play.
But
our tactics were to play a deep block.
Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you, Marco, as well. You'll be back on the programme tomorrow. You're going to be at the stadium, aren't you, tomorrow, right?
Yes, I'll see you there.
Look forward to seeing you there. Marco Gabbiadini, former Sunderland striker. We'll do a couple more Newcastle messages after we've spoken to Eddie, almost Eddie Howe's namesake. It's Eddie Howe, Newcastle supporter. I wonder if you're feeling under as much pressure as the manager is, Eddie. Good evening.
Hi, Bridie. You okay?
Yeah, very well. How do you see it going tonight, Eddie?
I just want a win, and I think we shouldn't score early. I think every time we score early, we seem to forgot how to defend. So and also I hope they try to just have a go. Try to have a go and shoot instead of try to pass the ball into the net. And they just, every time you look at it, they none of them wanted to score. They all try to you score. And our passing is not fantastic anyway. So
is that fair, Ando? Are they shot shy, Ando?
A little bit, yeah. I think a lot of teams are. I think a lot of teams want to score perfect goals. You don't see a great deal of people shooting from outside the penalty area. And I think especially tonight with the weather the way that it is, it's never stopped since we came on air, Friday. It's absolutely teeming down. As soon as the ball hits this surface, it's just going to take off. So if you get into that area 20-25 yards out from goal, just put your foot through it. Have a go, because you never know what comes of it.
So bearing in mind what you've said there, Eddie, and it's Anthony Gordon playing as a centre forward basically, what do you make of the team tonight?
I think we are down to the bare bone, aren't we? Injury problem, and also you try to give people a break and stuff, and because I think our away form is not great, and I'm glad they Eddie's giving the midfielders, Ramsey and what's the other guy? Sorry, have a go. Yeah, that's it. Because Sancho obviously it's been fantastic beginning of the season, but then a bit of drop form, either probably because of the physically and do you not think at the back of their mind they don't want to get injured because they're so close to the World Cup now? That's probably another reason why they try not to make too much proper tackle and try to protect themselves because it's threatening now. So there's only a few months left, So
It's another factor, Eddie. Sorry to rush you a little bit, but just a little bit short of time.
Okay.
Give us a score prediction for tonight, though.
I'm happy. Just 1-0. 1-0.
1-0 to Newcastle. You'll take that. Okay, you'd take that as well, Andrew, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, yes. I'd take any win.
Indeed.
Any win at all.
Thanks very much to Eddie. And a couple of people have predicted 0-0. It's got 0-0 written all over it. It says Jack in Hartlepool. And similarly, Darryl also thinks that it might well be 0-0 tonight, having seen
Friday.
the teams. Yes.
0-0. This is the most played Premier League fixture never to finish 0-0.
Is that right?
This is the 62nd encounter in the Premier League The other 61 have never finished goalless.
Oh, that's
you might get a
tempting
good
fate.
price on that, but
Have a look.
perhaps.
Yes. So certainly, certainly that's what Darryl and Jack think anyway. Bill says, I know we have fatigue and injuries, but I can't believe the team the manager's selected. It looks more like a resignation letter. Is he trying to get the sack? That's what Bill thinks, having seen the team tonight. And regular Abergavennian contributor here, I think that must be James in Abergavenny. I have consulted the Oracle and we will win tonight. Get into them. So he's more positive, at least. And this one is from somebody who hasn't put their name on it, number ending 206. As much as I like Gordon, he's proved himself not to be a striker. And the other night he comes off with a hamstring injury, then he holds the other leg and starts rubbing the wrong leg and gets subbed. Is Gordon not up for the fight now? Quickest healing hamstring injury I've ever seen, says this one, Ando.
Yeah, it's a quick. I mean, even if it was only a strain, or you would think it's a 10-day job for a hamstring, but maybe it wasn't a hamstring. Maybe it was just a little bit of cramp. But look, he's playing, he's recovered, and that's the way it is.
Ando, thank you very much indeed. John Anderson and Matthew Raisbeck standing by to take you up to a 7:30 kickoff tonight. Remember, if you want to get in touch during the game, at half-time or afterwards, do send us a message. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp, 81333 on text. Start all your messages with the letters BBC, and we will be on air until 10 o'clock tonight as well, so you can react after the game. But just under 15 minutes to kick off now.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
This morning on the show, John, who's a figure skating coach from Whitley Bay Ice Rink, came on to set us a bit of a challenge.
I got a little challenge for you guys. If you can beat the Bolero.
The Bolero, now. The famous figure skating routine from Torval and Dean.
Yeah, I reckon I can teach you in the next week or two and get you performing it before the Olympic end.
Right. Tomorrow morning you can find out how we got on at our first ice dance lesson, and I've got Sunderland tickets to give away. I'll see you then.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle. Total Sport Northeast.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Kick-off at a wet Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is 15 minutes away. It has been raining all afternoon, and it continues to come down and give the pitch a soaking as Newcastle's substitutes are the final players to leave the field following the warm-ups. Tonight they'll be backed by the Magpies, 3,038 away fans in the section in the corner on the far side, the northeast corner of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, a ground that even with just a quarter of an hour to go until kick-off is not even a third full. Maybe supporters are just staying inside in the swanky concourse areas in this beautiful and brilliant arena. Probably in our view, Ando, the very best of them all. It's been open now for nearly 7 years, would you believe? But
really?
Yeah, 2019 when they moved in, but it's still as good as new, isn't it? It's
a fabulous
spectacular
stadium. Yeah, it's an incredible stadium, there's no doubt about it. Just a pity they haven't got a football team to go with it, to be quite.
Well, Tottenham Hotspur are struggling, 15th in the table, and it's no win in their last 7 in the Premier League. And Newcastle, well, 1 win in 8 in all competitions, but they've lost the last 3 in the league as well. So they're both on a bad run, and definitely pressure on both clubs and both managers. But it would be really interesting to see if Newcastle were to go in front, what that would do to the atmosphere and the belief from a Tottenham Hotspur point of view. This place could even get toxic, really, if it doesn't go the way of Spurs, and in that respect it could be a good time to play them. But the home side may feel that it's a good time to come up against a Newcastle United side with a few injuries, and again a changed 11 tonight, Ando. Yeah, it's difficult sort of difficult to see who, at this point, the happier club and set of supporters are, and hard to know quite which way this match will go as well.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call, isn't it? You know, both sides are having their struggles at this moment in time. Spurs only won 2 games here all season. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it? You know, but look, our away form hasn't been great. 2 wins away from home all season, so yeah, something's got to give here tonight, you would think. Interesting side that Eddie Howe has picked. Yet again, he's left his forward players Voltamada, Asula and Wissa on the bench, playing Anthony Gordon through the middle. And look, he did that against Liverpool and it worked very well for 35 minutes. You know, we were the better side for that length of time against Liverpool, caused them all sorts of problems. Yeah. Gordon caused Van Dijk and Konate all sorts of bother because he got in and around them, he hassled them, he chased, put them under pressure. Alanga on that right side, quick, direct, you know, and Barnes on the left gets the play in his favoured position, coming in off that left side. So we'll see how well it goes. We haven't been playing well. We look tired. We look not just physically tired, but mentally tired as well. But hopefully somewhere that's been good, and our record against Tottenham's been good, and hopefully that will continue tonight.
The starting 11 is Pope in goal, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Byrne, and we're expecting it to be a 4 with Trippier and Byrne in the full-back positions rather than a 5 with a midfielder or a wide player filling in at full-back, but wing-back. But we'll confirm that when the teams line up in about 10 minutes for kick-off. So Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Ramsey, Bruno and Willock in midfield, and a front 3 of Elanga, Barnes and Gordon. It's 4 changes from Brentford. Byrne, Ramsey, Gordon, Elanga come in for Hall, Tonali, Murphy and Wissa. Newcastle's bench tonight: Ramsdale, Hall, Tonali, Wissa, Jacob Murphy, the 4 who drop out, Voltamada, Osula, Alex Murphy and Shahar. 3 changes for Spurs, who are without the captain Christian Romero, who is suspended after his red card at Man United. Destiny Udogie, the fullback, is injured and joins a lengthy Spurs injury list of 10 players who would all almost certainly be either in the starting 11 or on the bench. The team that Thomas Frank has named is this: Guillermo Vicario in goal, Archie Gray, Mickey van der Ven, Radu Dragusin and Jed Spence. In midfield, Conor Gallagher, who was brought in the transfer window for £35 million from Atletico Madrid, Pape Sarr and Yves Bissouma, and then the front 3: Wilson Odobert, Xavi Simons and Dominic Solanke, who has scored 4 goals in his last 5 appearances since returning to the team following an injury. It was an ankle problem that kept him out for a few months earlier in the campaign. The Spurs bench: the goalkeeper Antonin Kinski, João Palhinha, Matis Tel, Sousa, who's a Brazilian 19-year-old left-back, a January signing, Randall Kolo-Muani, the forward on loan from PSG, and then 4 young players: Callum Oluseyi, Junai Byfield, Luca Williams-Barnett and James Roswell. The Spurs changes: Spence, Dragusin and Bissouma for Romero, Udogie and João Palhinha. You're listening to BBC Radio Newcastle, live at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, with a sequence of results: 3 defeats in a row, lost 4 of the last 5, and it's more than a month since they last picked up 3 points in the Premier League. Eddie Howe is accepting that this is probably his most difficult spell at Newcastle United, but he points out there have been tough times before and they've come through them.
Yeah, I think always looking back is a healthy thing in these moments where you can see the journeys you've been on before. As you say, it's never been a straight line. There's always been difficult periods. I think this is one of the most difficult. But yeah, those experiences that I've been through before countless times stand me in good stead for this moment. And the collective spirit is what we're after. We're after the collective fight from all the players. And I think if you have that resolve within the group, you can do amazing things again. So it can turn very quickly. The momentum's against us at the moment. We have to swing the momentum back, and the world can look a very different place within a couple of years.
Of course, they need to produce on the pitch, Ando, but there's no doubting that the players are giving everything, that they care, and that's certainly the way that Eddie Howe has always worked for Newcastle United. He's worked hard for the players, for the club, for the fans, put a lot of pressure on himself, and we saw that on Saturday after the Brentford match when he was very self-critical and talked about needing to do his job better, and really took a lot of responsibility there, but obviously still says he feels he's the right man to lead the team. But of course, when they're on a bad run, both him and his players will be questioned.
Yeah, look, it's a results-driven business, isn't it? You know, it's all about winning football matches. It's all about getting results. When you lose games and you lose consecutive games and then you lose 3 games and you know, you've only won 2 games away from home all season, and questions then get asked. You know, look at our form in the league from the start of the season hasn't been great. You know, our home form, we've been getting away with it, winning games at home, but away from home, our away form has been really, really patchy. And we haven't been getting the results that we need. You know, we haven't been getting the results that people expect as well. You know, all of a sudden the expectation levels have risen. Of course they will do, because you won a trophy last season and you're in the Champions League. And look, we gave it a good go in defence of that cup. We got to the semi-final. We're still in the Champions League. We're still in the FA Cup. But the bread and butter is your league form. You know, it's all about your league form. We need to get back to winning ways.
They've just put the house lights back on at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium after switching them off and going to a pre-match video. Another light display that you get at most grounds wherever you go around the country. And now the teams are making their way up the tunnel, led out by referee Anthony Taylor. His second Newcastle match of the season after the defeat at Man United. It was on Boxing Day, wasn't it? Just after Christmas, Boxing Day night. VAR this evening is Nick Hopton, and they are wearing the change kit, the third kit of navy and orange tonight. Newcastle United. Led out by captain Bruno, back from injury, and a goal scorer from the spot against Brentford at the weekend. But his penalty, although it levelled the game up, wasn't the last goal, and they ended up suffering another defeat and were then booed off by some supporters. It is a tough run, but Eddie Howe says while it's like this, it's important everybody sticks together.
Yeah, the unity aspect is always important. I think if you don't have that, you lose everything. At the moment, we still have that, and that's the most important thing. The supporters, even on Saturday, were incredible for us. Again, that's never taken for granted. That's never, from our side, expected. We have to earn it. We have to continue to have the respect of our supporters. And the only way we can do that is with our intention in the next game, with how we attack the next game, with everything that we give off with our body language. The supporters will feed off it, and we need to make sure it's a positive response. I'm confident it will be, and I can't thank the loyalty from the supporters.
And right on cue, 3,000 plus away fans give a great reception to the players. Many of them run over towards the away end in the far corner to acknowledge them. Look, there's no doubting that they will be backed properly, as they always are. Supporters they want to see better performances, and they want to see results. That applies to fans of both clubs. It could be a really tricky and tense night here, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be a real chess game. It's who gives way first. You would think that the first goal in this game is absolutely massive. You know, if we were to score first, all of a sudden you'd really feel the tension inside this stadium. it could get a little bit toxic, but if Tottenham were to score first, it gives their supporters a lift, gives the players a lift. So it's one of those, isn't it? It's one of those really finely balanced games that's really difficult to call.
Record here is decent. They've won 3 times at this stadium, including last season. It was in January last year where they conceded early and then equalised almost immediately, and the scoring was complete by half-time. A 2-1 victory for Newcastle that day, and as I mentioned earlier, it's the most played Premier League fixture. This is the 62nd meeting in the Premier League era that has never finished 0-0. I don't know whether 0-0 will be viewed positively or negatively tonight. It would at least stop a run of defeats, I suppose, but they want more than that, Newcastle United, as will those of a Tottenham Hotspur persuasion. 2 huddles in each half. Spurs in white shirts, navy shorts, white socks, and Newcastle the navy shirts, orange shorts and socks, Pope in yellow. And in front of the goalkeeper, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Willock, Bruno, Ramsey, Elanga, Barnes, Gordon. 4 changes tonight, still no Miley and no Joe Linton. Vicario, the Spurs goalkeeper, in pink, and then the outfield players Gray, Van de Ven, Dragusin, Spence, Gallagher, Sarr, Bissouma, Odobert, Simons, Solanke. But Tottenham Hotspur missing a number of big names because of injury and suspension. It's the first of 4 away games in a row as well, across 3 competitions. Not much time at home during this busy period, but wherever they play, they just need to get results, and they need to get back on track in the Premier League. Down to 12th as we kick off here in North London on BBC Radio Newcastle and the Newcastle United website and app. A big match, a huge night for both clubs and both managers, Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe, standing at the edge of their technical areas as the ball is played back by Spurs, and they have it on the right side of defence. Gray to Dragusin in the corner with Gordon forcing him almost into trouble, but the defender's clearance off Anthony Gordon, and behind for a goal kick at the right hand side. Newcastle defending the goal to the left. 53 seconds on the clock. Not all of the home seats have been occupied, John Anderson, have they? I wonder if there is maybe not just dissatisfaction, apathy, maybe there's a plan to stay away, I'm not sure. But
yeah, there's quite a few empty seats, isn't there?
There are some fans arriving now, and that happens everywhere, but it could be part of longer-term frustration at Spurs. Trippier up the line to Willock. 15 yards out, Elanga takes over, heads for the corner. Decent cross by Elanga, headed behind. He was caught after he played the ball next to the assistant referee, Elanga.
Lack of communication, and that Spurs back four. It's a keeper's ball all day. Bissouma takes it out of his hands.
Well, he dug out the cross, Elanga, from close to the quadrant in the corner, and it was nodded behind, and Elanga's going to take the corner kick. Everybody's come back for Spurs. Trippier stays near the centre circle. Plenty to aim at in the box. Elanga's delivery. It's hit a Newcastle player and then gone behind off a Spurs defender. It was towards the penalty spot, and no one got a touch initially as it was whipped across. A right-footed out swinger. I think it looked like it hit Botman, but it might have missed Botman and just gone straight behind, just over the top of Dragusin. It is another corner, and it's Bruno from the left with an in-swinger. 0-0, 2.5 minutes. In it comes from the captain, headed away by Solanke near post. Willock back in. Barnes down to Elanga. Oh, that's a great ball in by Elanga. And it's behind for a goal kick. It just missed a Newcastle player in the middle, and then it was cleared by a defender onto Sven Botman at the back post, and it looped up and went over the top. That was unlucky. They were close.
Yeah, good ball played in. Elanga gets it out of his feet nice and early. It's good defending, actually. Not too sure it is who defends that, but he just hooks it. Solanke, isn't it? Is it? And it just smacks Sven Botman, who doesn't know anything about it, and just flies over the crossbar.
Solanke got his touch there just in front of Chow. Had he not, Chow would have had a tap in, and the touch from Solanke then hit Botman and went over the top. But there's some early pressure from Newcastle United. However, it's still goalless, and a free kick in midfield for the home side, whose last Premier League win was on the 28th of December at Crystal Palace. But they've got a couple of Champions League victories since then, in Frankfurt and against another German side, Dortmund, here. Now they played in behind Dan Burn, and up the right wing for Odegaard. Siemens wants the pull back. He gets the pull back and flicks it towards Solanke. Newcastle clear as far as Bissouma, 25 yards out. That's the danger, and that's the trouble in behind the two full-backs. Although that time it was Burn, nothing to do with Trippier, but I know it's a concern that some supporters have expressed tonight with the makeup of the team. And there was no catching Odegaard. Spurs back with it on halfway. Van de Ven comes inside away from Willock, who makes a tackle, but it's a foul on the centre half, who's helped to his feet by Anthony Gordon, Tottenham's captain. And it's at the front of the centre circle. That would be a big worry, wouldn't it? Just one ball over the top in behind and Odegaard's away.
Well, after you see that, you say, look to get him in behind Dan Burn all the time. Just clip it in there, because Dan Burn's not going to catch him, is he?
Free kick rolled short by Siemens. Spence from left back floats it in towards the run and the stretch of Dragusin, centre half, who was beyond the far post. He couldn't connect with the ball, and it's a goal kick for Nick Pope.
Yeah, just too driven cross, wasn't it? Spence drives it. Dragusin coming in around the back, just can't stretch.
Pope puts the ball on the 6-yard line, and looks like it's going to go long. Over to the far side of the pitch. They're trying to get Gordon in, headed away by Van de Ven. Spence chased by Gordon towards halfway, near side. Good run by Spence. Ball's gone out though. You were impressed with him in the League Cup tie at St James's Park.
He played well that night, yeah, he did.
But not necessarily a regular starter for Thomas Frank. Spence there from the Newcastle throw, gets back at Elanga, shoulder to shoulder, no foul. And here's Dragusin in the penalty box. Gray, former Leeds player. And it's a ball in behind Newcastle on the left-hand side. Bernard pushed up the pitch. Spurs cross it to Siemens, left side of the penalty area. Xavi Siemens hits the side netting, went for the near side of goal, didn't have a lot of goal to aim at, and missed the target.
Got to go across the goalkeeper. You can't go near side from that angle. That's a poor effort. But yet again, they get in down our left, don't they? Huge gaping hole.
And Xavi Siemens rolled it through the legs of Kieran Trippier there, but was unable to get it on target, forced Nick Pope into a save, but twice Spurs have got in behind on Newcastle's left. Pope's goal kick looking for Byrne, who came in off the touchline but couldn't get near the ball to head it. Botman hooks it clear. Byrne then brings it under control. Barnes tries to go around a challenge and wins a free kick out on the touchline. Dragusin, the guilty party there, the Romanian international. Here's Trippier halfway on the near side looking for Willock. Almost dispossessed by Sarr, but Willock did well to keep United in possession. Elanga back to Trippier. Gordon, who has started through the middle, has come deep to halfway to have a couple of touches, gives it to Chow. They're going square over to the left. Botman now to Byrne, in behind, but too close to Dragusin for Barnes. Bruno, Ramsey tries to turn away. Would have been a foul. Referees let it go because they've got the advantage. Barnes to Gordon, back to Bruno and Elanga. Trippier in support as well. In fact, it's Willock who goes for goal, and just wide. Joe Willock drags a right-footed shot just wide of Vicario's goal. Nice passing move from Newcastle. It could have been stopped for the foul.
Good refereeing.
He let it flow, let it go, and then as Elanga made his way into the box, Willock there had time to turn, had a touch, and that is just wide.
Yeah, keeper's beaten, isn't he? He's at full stretch, the keeper. That's just inches wide.
Ninth minute. Chow might have hold of Solanke. Referee says it's a fair challenge. Spurs have the ball back with Spence next to the halfway line. And Van de Ven to drag us in and square over to the far side. Gray tries to bend it in again behind Newcastle defenders on the far side. Botman wins a header. Solanke's tried to keep it in, but has ended up conceding a throw, and it's Newcastle's ball back to Pope. Quickly closed down.
Well played.
Distribution good from Nick Pope with his feet out to Trippier, who's brought it a long way forwards. Ramsey wants it in the middle. Trippier allowed to continue. He's given it to Elanga, and now Gordon has got a man on the near side. Back it goes to Chow. Spurs have been in behind twice, but Newcastle, I think, have started pretty well with the ball. And here's Elanga to Trippier. He goes up the line, Elanga gets a return pass. They need somebody in the middle. Elanga plays it off Sarr and wins another corner. Newcastle's third of the night so far.
Yeah, good play, patient down this right side. Simons on this left-hand side, Spurs left-hand side, doesn't look like he's one who wants to track back either.
Byrne, Botman and Chow are on the edge of the box, the 18-yard line. Now they make their way forwards. Elanga's delivery headed away by Spence, who got up near post to head it on. Willock then beats Siemens in a challenge. Good strong play by Joe Willock, and he's used the ball well to play in Elanga. Chance to cross, which he does, and a flick from Barnes straight into the hands of Vicario.
Yeah, it was good ball again, played in, wasn't it? Rolled in. He tried that at the weekend, didn't he? A little back flick,
which he put just wide against Brentford there, into the hands of the keeper. Quick and improvised effort from Barnes. Ball forward by Spurs. It's come off the head of Botman and run for Solanke. Heading towards the corner on the far right-hand side. 0-0 into the box. Bruno's covering, tracking back out to Byrne. His clearance is blocked. It's come back to Bruno in the penalty area. Across the box to Chow, and then out to Trippier. Inside to Ramsey, who takes it under pressure and turns, gets a little bit of space away from Odebear, and that's well played by Jacob Ramsey. Here's Barnes back to Botman. Again, it's a ball up the right wing for Spurs, and that's the third occasion, but everything else has been good from Newcastle. Trippier, and they've got runners, and it's Elanga heading on. Willock wanted him to leave it. Van de Ven comes across and clears, which he sliced off the outside of his left boot, and it's a United throw about in line with the edge of the penalty area. Trippier to Elanga, who lost it and then caught Siemens in the challenge, and in his attempt to win it back, stood on him and apologises. Free kick for Tottenham Hotspur. 12 minutes gone.
Yeah, that's the worry. That long ball down that right side. Solanke's got the legs of Botman as well, hasn't he?
He was the player that put Spurs ahead in this fixture last season, you might remember, quite early.
Yeah.
Dominic Solanke in a good bit of form.
Oh dear.
He's returned from injury. The free kick's not the best. Bent out for a Newcastle throw, level with the penalty spot. Nobody in Spurs colours could get anywhere near it. Trippier to Bruno. He thought he was fouled. Referee says not. It's another throw. Newcastle's ball. Gordon up near halfway. Barnes few yards behind the centre circle on the far side. The throw goes into midfield to Ramsey. Nice cushioned layoff to Bruno. Lifted out to Byrne on his chest. Brought down on the far side. Up to Ramsey and on towards Elanga, who's able to get there ahead of Odebear. Inside from Elanga to Willock. And Ramsey and Willock, and now Byrne and Jacob Ramsey on it again. Up to Gordon. Good ball. Good touch from Gordon, back to Willock, who's already had one effort so far. This time he plays it to Trippier in the box. Trippier's cross hung up. Vicario plucks it out of the sky. Siemens there trying to take it forwards, and Malik Chow has challenged him and won the ball fairly and cleanly, says the referee. Elanga now to Willock in the area. Willock on the outside of Van de Ven, who recovers well and puts it out for a throw.
Yeah, Siemens not the bravest, is he? Slightest touch, he just goes the ground. Just got out muscled. Referee did well.
Would you agree it's been a promising start in the attacking third, certainly?
Yeah, Spurs look really nervy, don't they?
As the cry of Eddie Howe's black and white army comes from the away end. The throw from Ramsey, back heel from Bruno. Elanga's cross headed out by Dragusin. Spurs were appealing for a handball, they didn't get it. The throw from the clearance taken by Bruno. 2 balls on the pitch. Trippier now lifts one into the box. Half a header clear. Barnes has got it. Goes on the outside. And it's
another corner kick.
Gray deflecting Barnes' cross behind. If you're Spurs, this is probably an uncomfortable start. If you're Newcastle, you'll feel that a goal is coming. Over on the left, and it's Bruno to take it. In swinger to the back post. Vicario punches. Elanga is there first, brought down outside the box. Tries to take on Odebear. Has he won a free kick? No, Elanga's told to get up. The assistant referee on the near side, Gary Bezic, looked like he was about to flag and then changed his mind as Elanga went on the outside of Odebear.
It's a free kick all day.
Anthony Taylor, the referee, points, perhaps on the advice of his assistant, for a goal kick. Elanga seemed to be fouled, didn't get the decision. Spurs play it short. Vicario under pressure from Gordon clears. Bruno's got it in midfield following Chow's successful challenge on Solanke. He seems to have hurt himself, Dominic Solanke. And United have it at the back. Forwards they come. 6 Premier League home defeats for Spurs this season, only 2 wins. The wins are against Burnley and Brentford. Here's Bruno. Newcastle only have 2 away wins. Here's Chow into the box. Byrne is there, knocks it down, and it's a hit from Ramsey, and behind again for another corner. Van de Ven with the block to send it behind on the left-hand side.
Wasn't the cleanest hit, was it?
Bernard stayed up. Ramsey
shinned it.
Would have been going well wide, I think.
Yeah.
BBC Radio Newcastle still 0-0, but they are the better team and seemingly the more likely team to score. Here's the latest corner from Bruno. It's a Spurs header across the face of their own goal, and it's another corner kick, this time on the right. Lots of set pieces and lots of pressure. Willock just wide. Barnes with a flick into the hands of Vicario, and a couple that have gone just over. Will a goal come from this? Elanga's corner kick. An out swinger. It's a Newcastle header that goes backwards. Spurs clear, looking for Siemens. Trippier slides in and wins it, and Elanga's got it again. It's a promising position. Oh, he's rolled it forward for Byrne, and it's a goal kick. It's not what you would have wanted. Dan Burn on the end of a through ball like that was there to be run onto.
Yeah, Siemens doesn't want them 50-50s, does he? I'll let you have it.
Team tonight: Pope, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Burn, Willock, Bruno, Ramsey, Elanga, Barnes and Gordon. And Newcastle United goalless with Tottenham Hotspur. Header on there by Spurs, straight through to Nick Pope. And a big throw to Dan Burn, just behind halfway. Thought about a quick ball up the line to Barnes, but it's instead inside to Ramsey, who's held off 2, played it to Bruno. And Chow, and now to Trippier. They've moved it pretty well. Elanga running in behind. Trippier's found him. Spence can't cut it out. Elanga's crossed to the back post. It's up off a defender. Where's it going to land?
Oh, why didn't he catch it?
Punched by Vicario next to his post. Kept in by Barnes on the far touchline. Dan Burn, first time, deep cross. Spence's header. Willock to Elanga in the box. Back to Willock. Then it comes for Elanga again. Gallagher trying to clear it. They just about got rid. Then Chow has brought it down in the centre circle. Newcastle are all over Spurs. They just haven't scored. Here's Elanga again on the outside to Trippier. Back to Elanga. Heavily involved so far. Another ball in. Flicked clear by a defender. Chow to Barnes. Keeping the pressure on. Bruno across midfield to Trippier. Elanga looks to cross, knocks it around Spence, who makes a challenge. Gordon's got it in the box. Willock back to Bruno. Ramsey in the D, plays it back to Chow. Square to Botman. You can hear what the Spurs fans think of this Newcastle pressure and probably the Tottenham defending. And then Dan Burn gives it away by playing it in behind when Barnes came short, and Vicario picks it up. But you were saying, why didn't he catch that ball?
Just catch it.
"21 minutes played, 0-0. Spence up to Solanke. Chow's header. Trippier takes it down inside to Bruno. They have to make this pressure count, don't they? Barnes, Gordon running through the middle. Barnes wins a free kick, couldn't release it. Foul was committed by Spurs, quickly taken. Free kick though to get the match restarted to Willock to the right, and Elanga for Trippier. Cross is blocked. Spurs think it's handball. Spencer's got it. Inside it comes to Sarr, and they look for that ball up the far side, and Burn is trying to bring it down, but he can't get there, and Odebear has it near to the Newcastle fans in the corner. Odebear into the box. Burn uses his size to make a challenge, and Newcastle have it. Bruno is able to turn in the penalty area, play it to Burn, far touchline, looking for Gordon. One back by Dragusin in the United half. Although there haven't been too many clear chances, and though they've been well on top, haven't they?
Yeah, they've been the better side, no doubt about it. They've controlled the game. Crosses flying into the box.
Just hope that
Spurs look nervy.
Just have to hope they can make this pressure count. Here's a run up midfield from Gray from full-back. They're on the right, Tottenham Hotspur, with Gallagher. Siemens into the middle, near post towards Solanke. Chow makes a challenge. Solanke hits the floor, nothing given. Bruno to big Dan Burn in the middle of the box, and now Trippier.
They're just so open, Spurs.
Ramsey's made a run through the middle. Barnes is in space on the far side. Willock plays it across to Barnes, and they slow it down, Newcastle. Spurs getting players back, but it's played on to Burn. Ramsey in the area, wins a corner.
Spurs are just so open and so stretched.
Midway through the first half, and it remains 0-0. But Newcastle United well on top. Just seeing again the Chow on Solanke challenge. Nothing was given, and VAR must have had a quick check, but the match continued, and will now be a Newcastle United corner from Bruno from the left, headed away by Spence, and then the follow-up effort. Joe Willock didn't catch it properly, but he had a bit of time. It was dropping edge of the area.
Just hit it into the ground, didn't he?
Vicario's got it. And they play it short to Sarr, over to the right to Dragusin. And Gray, left-footed ball, trying to get it in behind Botman, who had to stretch his neck muscles to get the header and find a teammate. Brilliant by Ramsey, under pressure, being pulled by Tottenham midfielder Yves Bissouma, and Ramsey got the pass away. It was intercepted, but it's brought back for a free kick in the middle of Newcastle's half. I'd say Ramsey and Willock, the two players in midfield at either side of Bruno, have done pretty well so far. They've been involved, and Elanga has been, well, certainly in the first 15 minutes, pretty much everything was going through him.
Yeah, he's got it wide and he's got crosses in.
Newcastle play it to Trippier. It's a heavy touch. Spurs make a challenge, and now they have the ball in Newcastle's half. Dan Burn puts a foot in, and it's out on the near side. The highest that they can climb tonight, Newcastle, is 9th, but that would depend on Bournemouth at Everton. Chelsea Leeds, also a 7:30 kickoff, as is the match at Everton. 8:15 is West Ham against Man United. Chelsea are 1-0 up against Leeds through João Pedro. Goalless here and at Hill Dickinson Stadium. And in the National League, Gateshead's first game for 3 weeks kicked off at 7:45, and they are trailing 1-0. Boston 1, Gateshead 0 in the National League. Sven Botman with it at the back for Newcastle United. 26th minute. On to Chow. And Barnes up the line for the run of big Dan Burn into the corner. Fires over a cross. It's too high for Willock, and it's run away from Trippier and been taken forwards up to halfway and now into Newcastle territory by Xavi Simons, who turns, and then Trippier gets a boot to the ball. Simons wins it back, takes it into the centre circle, then lays it off to Bissouma, and it comes square to Sarr. Drops his shoulder, comes away from Willock. And it's a ball played behind Van de Ven, to the frustration of the home fans. Inside now to Bissouma, who's making just his 3rd Premier League start of the season after some injuries and a period of not being selected. This is Sarr now on halfway. Simons comes short, the little Dutch international, plays it back to Sarr, and Dragusin up from the halfway line, the ponytailed defender. Odobert comes in off the right wing, edge of the box. Solanke takes it on the outside. Solanke, his shot is blocked by Botman. Solanke's brought it down, kept it in rather than letting it go for the corner. Tottenham Hotspur on the attack. Gray's cross, Solanke off his thigh. Botman up to Gordon, who takes a touch, tries to turn. He's done well, Gordon. Willock here being dragged and held by Dragusin, and now Elanga, challenged by Van de Ven.
What a tackle that is.
No free kick, clean challenge. Elanga had Gordon ahead of him, but he couldn't get him in, and then Trippier makes a good challenge, and Gordon's making the run. They played up the line to Elanga, and he wins a throw off Simons. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Newcastle United 0. We saw a little bit more from the home side there in attack, even if Nick Pope wasn't needed.
No, he hasn't seen much of the ball, has he, Nick Pope? And long may that continue as well.
Botman with it, plenty of space. Newcastle, half of the pitch. Now Chow. Trippier receives it. Up the line to Elanga. Takes a touch. It's a good one as well. Tight control. Gordon's come to support him. Gordon breaking into the area. Gordon wins a corner. How many corner
So much
kicks
space.
is that?
There's just so much space.
I think that's corner number 8. Elanga to deliver. He's been taking them from this right-hand side. Puts his right arm in the air and sends it into the middle. Spurs flick it away. Brought down here and fired just wide. It's another corner. Jacob Ramsey.
What a good hit.
That looks so close to his first Newcastle goal.
Picked up a great position. Nobody picked them up. It's a real good hit.
Powerfully struck, technique, touch and then shot. But behind, took a nick off a defender. Bruno with this corner. Vicario's come. They've got a chance to get it in, but it's headed behind by Gordon after being headed on by Chow.
Yeah, haven't made the most of these set pieces, have we?
But there are frailties there in the top.
Oh, frailties
defense.
all over the place in this Tottenham side. They're so stretched and so open.
The only thing missing is a goal for Newcastle United. Half an hour gone. Here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Chow and Trippier win the ball back. Botman lets it run. Plays it away from Gallagher. Now Barnes. Not seen too much of him. Here's his opportunity to break into the box. He's still going, Barnes. Beat a couple of challenges, but then Sarr slid in and won the ball. Tottenham Hotspur have a player down, so the referee stopped the game because Wilson-Odobert may need treatment. I think that was in an attempt to tackle Harvey Barnes. He seems to have hurt himself. Odobert put his leg across Barnes and has obviously caused himself a problem. So 0-0, break in play. Elanga, Chow and Trippier come to the touchline. Jason Tindall talking to them. Eddie Howe will be really pleased, won't he, with pretty much all aspects of the performance. A concern over balls in behind Newcastle on the left side of defence. But that and the fact they haven't scored, those are the only negatives. Everything else, he'll be really pleased
better.
They've been the better team.
Yeah, I mean, Spurs are just so wide open and so stretched that there's no, they're not compact. They're very, very easy to play against. Unlike Brentford at the weekend, who were compact and disciplined, there's no discipline or compact about this Spurs side at all. It looks like a team of individuals who's just been thrown out there and said go and play. Nobody seems to know exactly what they're supposed to do.
Our colleague from BBC Radio London, Nick Godwin, who joined us on Total Sport ahead of kickoff, has just looked at us and mouthed, "I told you," about Spurs.
Ooh.
And yeah, on the evidence of 32 minutes, he's right. A stretcher is ready in case Wilson-Odobert needs to be taken off the pitch that way. He's still receiving treatment.
Looks like it.
Other Newcastle players are having conversation along the halfway line. Thomas Frank's got Conor Gallagher and Dominic Solanke. And he's got a notepad as well.
It's more than a notepad he needs.
And he is speaking to those two players, just running through a few things while Odobert gets treatment. You listen to BBC Radio Newcastle. We'll be with you tonight till 10 o'clock, so there'll be time to analyse the match with Ando once it has finished. Wait for it to restart. Odobert, the French under-21 international, he was the player that was substituted and taken off on Saturday at Man United after the red card shown to defender Cristian Romero. And they brought Dragusin on.
Joel Mitchell.
Today he's leaving the pitch the same point in the match, it seems, but because of injury, Mathys Tel, another French under-21 international, is getting ready, and it would be another injury for Spurs, who've got Maddison, Bentancur, Kudus, Davies, Bergval, Pedro Porro, Kulusevski, Danso, Richarlison and Udogie injured, and Romero suspended.
The team, basically.
Yeah.
Dear oh dear. We thought we were struggling with injuries.
They're taking the stretcher back and away, but Odobert is still receiving treatment, and Tel is getting himself ready. And looks like he's going to be coming on. Another blow for Spurs and Thomas Frank. 34 minutes on the clock. It's 0-0.
Walking all right, isn't he?
Yeah. But they are making a substitution. Good to see him walk off, given how bad that may well have appeared. Mathys Tel comes on for Wilson Odobert for Tottenham Hotspur. And in summary of the first half so far, Ando, Newcastle United have been the better team and should really be in front, shouldn't they?
Yeah, with the balls that have gone into the box. But yet again, we haven't forced the goalkeeper into a save, have we? You know, he's got the ball into good areas. Alanga's put some tees and crosses in there, but we haven't really put the goalkeeper under any real pressure.
Long ball at the pitch by Spurs, and Newcastle head it clear. Now it's forwards by Bruno, but it's gone backwards off Gordon, and Seaman's just outside the penalty area. Xavi Seaman's deflected shot. Nick Pope's trying to claim, and he does. Trippier was there, just saw it back to his goalkeeper, with Seaman's following in. Here's Chow, and now Trippier. Bruno, angled ball into midfield. Bruno onto Willock, holding it up. He's got two on him. It's run for Ramsey, back to Willock. Can they find Barnes? Willock tries to break clear, and Gallagher fouls him. And the England international is not yellow carded for that. He gets away quickly. Just stopped Willock's run. Sent him to the floor. Free kick. About 40 yards out, left part of central midfield. Face Newcastle in pre-season for Atletico Madrid. Conor Gallagher at St James's.
Tell you what, Dan Bourne won't be too disappointed to see Odobert go off.
Yeah, well, he was the one that got in early on, wasn't he? With his electric pace. Burn is in the attack here. The free kick from Trippier is played wide left to Barnes. Players waiting for a cross. Barnes tries to deliver, it's blocked. Bruno back to Trippier on halfway. And out to Bruno, onto Ramsey. Takes a touch, passes it to the feet of Barnes, who's surrounded by white shirts. Back to Trippier. Elanga across halfway, receives it. Comes out wide. Then inside, Gordon takes a touch, lays it off to Bruno. He digs out a cross. Van de Ven heads clear. Trippier heads it inside. Burns got to watch. He's got a man on his shoulder. He lifts it back up to the edge of the area. Van de Ven nods it down. Tel is on it. He's lifted it forwards. And Botman comes over to cover and play it back to Nick Pope. First time from halfway. And Botman gets it again from the goalkeeper immediately.
Siemens hasn't broke into a sweat yet.
It's 0-0 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Elanga from Chow's pass out to Trippier, back towards Elanga. Trippier then makes a challenge on Tel, but Spurs have the ball, playing it back to Van de Ven, and Dragusin in the D's, let it run. Gordon's on his shoulder, then on to Gray, back to goalkeeper Vicario. And across the box the other way to the left side to Van de Ven, up to Tel. Fouled by Trippier, dragged down, free kick. Spurs play it quickly and short, and Tell onto Siemens. Ramsey makes a challenge. Oh, I can't believe the decision. Jacob Ramsey is furious with referee Anthony Taylor for giving Spurs a free kick. Do you have a view on that, Ando?
I don't think that's a free kick.
Ramsey came across from the side.
Just wanted too long, didn't he?
Seemed to scoop the ball up and backwards, Ramsey. And he threw his arm away with his fist clenched in anger, and then shouted at the referee. Newcastle feel that shouldn't have been given, but it's a free kick for Spurs. Mind you, it's much closer to halfway than the box. Xavi Simons behind it. £52 million they paid Leipzig to sign him in the summer, and he scored 2 goals so far. He plays it short to fullback Jed Spence, clipped towards the right corner of the box. It's a Tottenham header, but Newcastle get the second ball. Sven Botman out to Harvey Barnes. Now they've got players up in attack here. They can find the right pass. Barnes over halfway and out wide to Gordon. Willock was through the middle, but Gordon carries it on and still has it, Gordon. Now Ramsey and Trippier close to the edge of the area, but they don't go to Trippier. Ramsey comes back inside to Bruno, and then eventually it's over to Trippier from Bruno's pass. Back to Chow. Every Tottenham Hotspur player behind the ball. 0-0. Newcastle in the navy and orange kit, spraying it around, approaching the edge of the area. It's a through ball for Trippier. His cross is sent into the near post towards Ramsey, but headed up by Van der Ven. And Tell, looking for support, plays it back to Spence, inside to the feet of the goalkeeper, 6-yard box, away from Gordon and out to Gray, who's got Barnes on his shoulder. Gray, there's nowhere to go. Barnes isn't letting him out. Gray dragging it back. He's managed to clear it, but Barnes appears to have been caught. Play continues. Chow wins it for United. Willock to Ramsey. It's a bit of pinball in midfield. Tottenham Hotspur come away with it and then win a free kick. Oh dear. It's going to be a yellow card for Jacob Ramsey.
No, it's going to be a yellow card for diving.
For Sarr. Well spotted. Newcastle were absolutely furious there. Sarr ran away from Ramsey and threw himself to the floor. Ramsey went ballistic, and I thought that was because the decision had gone Spurs' way, but he was angry at the dive, and referee Anthony Taylor spotted the simulation and has booked Pape, Matar Sarr and Newcastle free kick next to the centre circle. Correct decision.
Yeah, he went looking for the free kick. Referee was right there, seeing the dive, and rightly booked him.
Still 0-0, but they've got to make this pressure into something in terms of the scoreline, into the box from the free kick. They'll get them on the board. Here's Elanga with a header. Dan Burn trying to help it on, but behind.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, was it? Just looped back in there. He's just trying to help it goalwards, Dan Burn.
Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall in conversation just in front of their seats on the bench. Now they both walk towards the edge of the technical area. The instructions are for Newcastle in the high press as Spurs play it short and then back to the goalkeeper. Van der Ven on the near side, rolled into midfield to Tell, who takes it backwards, leaves it for Siemens. There's a gap here for Spence to run into. Botman comes across.
Ooh, just as well he made that.
Slides in to put it out. And this is Sarr on halfway. Send us your messages about the first half. You can text 81333, put BBC at the start of your message, or on WhatsApp 08000 321 333. That's 08000 321 333. You must start it with BBC on WhatsApp as well. Here's Van der Ven behind the halfway line, square ball across the centre circle to Bissouma. And Newcastle pretty well set here with a 4, a 5, and then Gordon, furthest player forward. Spurs not able to play it through the lines, back to halfway, and Van de Ven with Willock on his shoulder has to turn, come inside and go backwards to drag us in, the other central defender. There's a long ball up the right wing. They can't get it in behind Byrne though, and it's played on to Bruno, and then Ramsey in behind, and Joe Willock's away. Gordon in the middle. Willock might finish it himself. Willock scores! Brilliantly taken by Joe Willock to give Newcastle United the lead in North London, and the former Arsenal player scores against Spurs after being rolled in with the pass. He delayed the initial shot, cut inside and buried it into the bottom corner, and it is a goal that has been coming all night. It's one that their pressure and dominance definitely merits, and more problems for Thomas Frank and Spurs. 44th minute, Newcastle United lead by a 1-0.
It's a great finish. Just gets it out of his feet nice and early. It's on well onside as well.
Ooh, they might check that.
It's onside.
Well, I sincerely hope you're right. Just the way that he bends his run. Ramsey with the through ball. VAR are checking for possible offside. I think it's just the way that he's leaning forwards, like he's trying to dip his head over the finish line at the end of a sprint race. VAR check on Joe Willock's goal for Newcastle United, which he finished off superbly. We've got on the giant screens in the 4 corners, although it's a bowl, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, but you know what I mean. Checking goal, possible offside. Nick Hopton and Stuart Atwell on VAR duty tonight. And we haven't seen a replay, so we don't know. Now we're going to have a look. Ooh. It's one for the semi-automated offside technology, because he looks level to the naked eye. It's just whether, as he dips and leans forwards because he's sprinting, Willock, whether maybe his head or his shoulder is ahead of the last defender, who is Van de Ven. VAR is still checking. If it counts, Newcastle will have a deserved lead. If it's chalked off, it is one of the smallest offsides, the tightest offside decisions. In real time, like I say, naked eye to the officials out there, that he's level.
Yeah, looked onside, didn't he?
With the forensic nature of VAR,
no goal.
It's offside. Goal doesn't count. Joe Willock fractionally offside. Depending on which camera angle you've got, he looks level or he looks like he might be slightly ahead. That is a huge let-off for Tottenham Hotspur, and a blow for Newcastle United and Joe Willock, who's played well tonight and finished the chance really well.
As well. Yeah, he put it away well.
5 minutes have been added to the first half, by the way. Here's Bruno winning the ball for Chow. Under pressure, finds Byrne. They've still been on top. They've been dominant. And then they had a goal which has been taken away. Look at that. Look how tight that is. It's his hand that's offside. Edge of the area now with Willock again. Looking for Elanga. Barnes trying to get there. Spurs bring it away. Gordon slides in. Good win by Gordon, and it's out of Trippier. They put it on the big screen, and the one diagonally across on the right hand side looked like it was his hand that was ahead of. Now we're going to.
Are you now?
Look at that! Look.
Are you now saying that VAR don't get it right? After saying at the weekend that they did.
It's his hand, and it's his forehead and his hand that's ahead of Van de Ven.
Now, Razy, you can't have it both ways. You were singing their praises at the weekend.
I'm talking about how tight it is. What about the tolerance levels for an offside? It was that close. But VAR and semi-automated offside technology say it doesn't count. And it remains 0-0. Trippier with a header on halfway. It's come for Solanke. 3 minutes of the 5 have gone during the additional period, but more may be added because of the length of the VAR check. It would be an absolute scandal if Spurs were to score before the whistle. So even if they can't get themselves in front, Newcastle, they've got to at least go in level. This is Tell, the substitute. To Gallagher, tackled by Trippier. Good win. Here's Elanga, drop of the shoulder, comes inside and runners, and it's towards Barnes. Now, has he got the legs to beat Dragusin? Yes, on the far touchline. Oh, Dragusin's pushed him over. One of the clearest fouls that you'll see. Anthony Taylor's blown for the free kick. 20 yards out, left wing. And no further punishment.
No, it's
the arm in the back. It's not a lot of contact, but
it's just a push.
Cynical, isn't it? Because he's not going to let Barnes get away from him. He's going to make sure.
Well, it's a silly free kick to give away because Barnes is heading towards the touchline. It's not as if he's going towards goal.
Final minute of the 5 that was displayed on the numbers board at the end of the first half on BBC Radio Newcastle. Joe Willock goal disallowed for a very, very close offside decision. But they've still got the chance to go in at the break in front. Here's the free kick from Bruno from the left, headed out by Gray. Bruno's brought it down and then played it to Willock. And we've still got 20 seconds of the 5 minutes to go. Elanga on for Bruno. It's come back to Elanga, chance to deliver. It's on his left, he decides not to cross and instead play it back to Willock. He drives it in. Oh, good save from the header, and the follow-up is rolled in by Malik Chow. And surely this one will stand. Chow's header beaten out by Vicario. But on the follow-up, the defender poked the ball in. And minutes after Joe Willock had one chalked off for a narrow offside call, Malik Chow has put Newcastle United in front in first half added on time with his 4th goal for the club. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Newcastle United 1.
A great header, good save. But he's the first to react and he just pokes it over the line. Good cross played in again. They just stand off Elanga, give him all the time, and he sticks a great cross in. They worked it well on this right side. Great ball played in. Joe Willock, who was unlucky to have the goal ruled out. Vicario makes the save, and Tottenham just don't react.
There's 2 defenders there, Gray and Sarr, the midfielder, but defending at that moment. And Chow rolled it in. I was a bit worried about Dan Burns' positioning in the middle, perhaps impeding another defender, but the goal counts and we're playing again, and they are in front, and that is a fairer reflection of the game. But Spurs trying to level it up before half-time. Nick Pope's got the ball in his hands off Solanke, who was 6 yards out and trying to connect with a Siemens cross. We're into minute 52, so +7 in the first half additional period. Newcastle on their way up towards the Spurs half. Ramsey slows it down. If they'd kept going there, they could have had the chance to break. Here's Trippier, he goes back to goal scorer Chow, and now it's Botman up to Byrne. Barnes wanting to run, but no more time in the first half, and the boos from the home supporters, those who are here, tell you what the mood is like in this part of North London. And Newcastle United have come into the game on a bad run of their own and have been the better side. They just hadn't scored until Joe Willock finished brilliantly from a good break. That was ruled out for offside, but Malik Chow has them in front at half-time, Ando.
Yeah, deserve to be in front, being the better side. They've totally dominated the first half. Spurs are just wide open. They're not getting close to people, they're standing off, they're letting us stick crosses in the penalty area, and you just felt sooner or later a goal was coming. Unfortunate the one that was disallowed, but got the just rewards right at the end of the half. More there for if they wanted, because this Spurs side is just wide open. They're so stretched. It should be more. It should be more at half time, but he'd be glad to get our noses in front and be glad to go in at half time 1-up.
That's the downside. And just quickly, when the team was announced, there wasn't a universally popular response, was there, to it from supporters. Many questioned the selection, whether it's down to Spurs being bad, Newcastle playing well, perhaps a combination. Eddie Howe's got it right so far, because they have performed and they've delivered, and they do have a goal now as well.
Yeah, they do. You know, he was questioned. Look, for all the play that we had, we never really worked the goalkeeper. We've thrown balls into the penalty area. Didn't make the most of our set pieces. The only save Vicarios had to make was right at the death when we went in front. You know, it's a great header. Joe Willock sticks a great ball in. Chow's good header, and he's the first to react. He's got two defenders around him. They stand still. He reacts and pokes it over the line. But we're not working the goalkeeper enough. That is a problem.
Half time, Tottenham Hotspur 0, Newcastle United 1.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
This morning on the show, John, who's a figure skating coach from Whitley Bay Ice Rink, came on to set us a bit of a challenge.
I got a little challenge for you guys. See if you can get the bolero.
The bolero. Now, the famous figure skating routine from Torval and Dean.
Yeah, I reckon I can teach you in the next week or two and get you performing it before the Olympic ends.
Right. Tomorrow morning you can find out how we got on at our first ice dance lesson, and I've got Sunderland tickets to give away. I'll see you then.
Matt Bailey at breakfast. Weekdays from 6. Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
And this is Simon Pride in the Total Sports studio, back for the second half shortly then at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Newcastle leading by 1-0. Let's just get a few more half-time thoughts from John Anderson. Remember, you can message 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp, 81333 on text, starting your messages with the letters BBC. And Ando, you said that lead at half-time is deserved. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. But that goal was so important in that it gave them something that they deserved, and it turned Spurs. I mean, as though the Spurs fans needed much turning. I mean, looking at some of the TV pictures of them at half-time, they're in dissent, they're miserable, some of them having a dig at the team, and you could hear the boos. I mean, it's difficult for a team in a state like Tottenham to come back from any kind of deficit, and Newcastle can now capitalise on that. Ando doesn't appear to be with me for my half-time chat, which is slightly distracting in terms of what I'm going to do for the rest of the half-time, but never mind, we'll try and get him back. Some messages that you've said. William says lots of pressure, and we should be 3 up. If we had a top forward, it would be over. Let's hope we don't go into our shells in the second half like we usually do. But William, just a little bit concerned as to what might happen in the second half. Whereas Steve in Leam Lane says a lot better from us tonight. The passing is much crisper and much more accurate, so he is happy with what he has seen. And Bill says Elanga has been putting in some lovely balls. If Shearer had been playing, well, he'd have been on a hat-trick after 20 minutes. Keep the messages coming in. Another one from Bill, which says, we are well on top, but only one in front. Bring on Wissa, though, for Gordon. Can Spurs be this bad in the second half when we usually regress, says Bill, who feels that it isn't quite over yet. Let me tell you what's happening elsewhere. Another couple of 7:30 kickoffs in the Premier League this evening. I wonder where Ando is. Anyway, Chelsea are leading Leeds United by 1-0. João Pedro on 24 minutes for Chelsea. Leeds had started brightly in that one. And Everton lead Bournemouth by 1-0. Iliman Ndiaye with a penalty after 42 minutes. Our resident Everton fan in the office who was monitoring that game feels it was a slightly fortunate penalty to be awarded, but Everton have a valuable goal at the Hill Dickinson and they lead Bournemouth by 1-0. The 8:15 kickoff tonight is at the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Manchester United 0 is the latest score. 4 games 3 games in the Championship. Leicester City in relegation trouble 10 years after they famously won the Premier League, in danger of going down to League One, but they're doing pretty well tonight. They lead Southampton by 3-0 at half-time. Norwich City are 2-0 up at Oxford United. Those games both approaching half-time now. And it is Birmingham City 0, West Bromwich Albion 0. In League One, Mansfield and Peterborough and Wigan and Reading are both goalless. And no goals in the games in League Two either, between Crawley Town and Cambridge United, and between Shrewsbury Town and Barrow. Gateshead are in action in the National League on a dreadful run. Gateshead haven't won since last November, and they are losing again tonight at Boston United. Tom Kerson's with the goal after just 5 minutes of that game, so Gateshead 1 down there. And South Shields are in action in the National League North this evening. Better news from their point of view. They lead 1-0 at Scarborough Athletic. The team closest to them at the top of the table, South Shields, are 6 clear, but Fylde have a game in hand, and they're their closest pursuers. They lead Spennymoor Town by 2-0. In Scotland, in the Scottish Premiership, Hearts 0, Hibs 0 is the latest score in the Edinburgh Derby. Still all to play for Hearts in terms of the title race. They still have a lead, but they've got Rangers next, and Rangers are their closest pursuers, so they could do well with beating their old rivals Hibs this evening. And a couple of games further down the Scottish leagues, in League One, Montrose lead Peterhead by 1-0. Goalless between Annan and Dumbarton, and Clyde and Elgin City. And in the Northern Premier League, Hebburn Town are away at Huddersfield Town, and that one is still goalless. In the East Division, Consett are 1 up on Grimsby Borough, but Heaton Stannington are 1 down at Lincoln United, and it's 0-0 between North Ferriby and Dunstan. So that is you pretty much up to date with all the football which is taking place around the country. Tomorrow night, Sunderland host Liverpool. Hugo Ekitike will be up front for Liverpool tomorrow night. A newspaper feature at the weekend argued that Ekitike has more to him than XG stats and the like, and that he has an inner drive and character which you can't coach, but on which some players thrive. So does Regis Lebris believe that Sunderland's Brian Broby possesses similar instincts?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the case for Brian, for Wilson, Eli, or our wingers. Now it's a question of level, because the gap is big with the Premier League, and it's not just with 1 or 2 opportunities, small part of a season or journey in the Premier League that you can achieve this level. So it's a long process. You can fail, and then with resilience you can grow and become more stronger. So it's progressive dynamic, and I think we can feel it now. I hope we'll maintain the level at home.
So that was Regis Lebris talking about Brian Broby, who will more than likely lead Sunderland's line against Liverpool tomorrow night. That will be our feature tomorrow night, of course. That one's an 8:15 kickoff. Total Sport with all the build-up and then reaction afterwards, as there will be tonight as well. We'll be on air till 10 o'clock tonight if you want to react after the Newcastle game, back for the second half very soon. The Liverpool manager, Arne Slot, has admitted that this is one of the toughest seasons that he has experienced.
Yeah, that's fair to say, by a mile. Because all the other seasons I've managed, that there was only positives. There was never, don't think I've ever lost 2 games in a row. So, it's an exception this season for me, as it is for the players. The players are not used to losing a lot or having a lot of draws. I'm not used to that as well.
So that was Arne Slot, the Liverpool manager, ahead of tomorrow night's game. We've traced Ando. He's back in position at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Where'd you go, Ando?
Nature called Friday.
Oh, okay. No worries. You've got to do what you got to do, haven't you?
You do, yeah.
Okay. I was just saying to you, when you couldn't hear me, that the Spurs fans, and you might have encountered some as you wandered to use the facilities, they are fuming. The TV pictures
pictures showing them, some of them just looking miserable, some of them up in arms, shouting stuff, some of them turning for the exits possibly, I don't know, maybe just gone for a drink or whatever, but the boos were there for all to hear at half-time. Newcastle deserving their lead, but the fact that it's so toxic, it sounds like anyway, at the stadium, can only help Newcastle in the second half.
Yeah, look, it's a game that they've got to go and win. You know, it's very difficult to see how Spurs got back into this the way they performed in that opening 45 minutes. Glenn Hoddle's just walked by us shaking his head. I wonder what he made of it, dear oh dear. But look, Spurs are they're so wide open, they're so stretched. They haven't asked any questions of us whatsoever, Friday. You know, it was a dominant first half performance. You know, we from minute 1 to minute 52 or whatever it was, we've totally dominated the game. We've got plenty of ball in the box. They're standing off. They're inviting Elanga to stick crosses in. They're inviting Joe Willock to stick crosses in. They're inviting Barnes to stick crosses in. They're just not getting close. They're not putting tackles in. And people around us are just, no, it's not a happy place to be. It is really, really toxic. And Nick, who we spoke to earlier on
from
the Spurs,
London,
yeah, he was saying the times he's seen them, they'd be bad. But this is the worst. He says, I've never seen them be as bad as this. He says they're absolutely awful.
Thomas Frank looked beleaguered on the sidelines and not looking good for Spurs, looking good for Newcastle. I mean, the offside goal, it was so close.
Oh dear.
And I mean, you know, I guess the technology probably, you know, is more accurate than our eyes, but you just think if that had been in the pre-VAR era, you wouldn't have got anyone, Spurs fans, players, anybody claiming offside. You'd have just got on with it because it looked onside.
No.
And I don't know. I mean, I guess it's right because it's a technology, but it doesn't make the game better, that does it?
Well, we had this argument last night about the Liverpool goal or the Manchester City goal.
Very different scenario, because at least it was at least it was obvious then that you know what had happened. You could see that there was a foul. You could see why it was given. But here it's so close.
My argument is with VAR that if you're offside, you're offside. But if there's a part of your body that is offside that you cannot score a goal with, you shouldn't be offside. And it looks like from the picture we've seen, it looks like his arm is offside.
Look like that, Seems a bit ridiculous.
Now you can't score a goal with your arm. You can't score a goal with your arm. So how, you know? But look, I didn't in real time. I didn't think he was offside. I thought he timed his run perfectly. But you know, it looks like his right arm's in an offside position, and it's. Yeah, that's the way the game's going, isn't it?
And thank you for the moment, and back with Razor for the second half at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium coming up very shortly indeed. No further goals in the ongoing games and that I've already been telling you about, so I can bring you just a little bit of Winter Olympics news. Not great news either, because we still haven't got a medal, Team GB. Jen Dodds and Bruce Marwood coming agonisingly short of claiming our first of the 2026 games, but they suffered defeat in the bronze medal match in the mixed doubles curling for the second time in 4 years. They lost out to the hosts, Italy, by 5 points to 3. And Dodds was emotional afterwards.
So close, but yet so far.
Yeah.
Kind of hurts the same as 4 years ago, really. I don't want to ugly cry, so I'm just going to stop there.
Well, they're both back in action this week. They will be competing separately with the men's and women's events on tomorrow and Thursday, respectively. Second half is going to get underway very shortly indeed, and Razor and Ando will hopefully take you through an equally successful second half in comparison to the first. That's coming next.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
But they've still got the chance to go in at the break in front. Here's the free kick from Bruno from the left, headed out by Gray. Bruno's brought it down and then played it to Willock, and still got 20 seconds of the 5 minutes to go. Elanga on for Bruno. It's come back to Elanga, chance to deliver. It's on his left. He decides not to cross and instead play it back to Willock, He drives it in. Oh, good save from the header, and the follow-up is rolled in by Malik Chow. And surely this one will stand. Chow's header beaten out by Vicario. But on the follow-up, the defender poked the ball in, and minutes after Joe Willock had one chalked off for a narrow offside call, Malik Chow has put Newcastle United in front in first half added on time with his fourth goal for the club. Tottenham Hotspur 0, Newcastle United 1.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and black and white legend John Anderson.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
And the second half is 15 seconds old. Newcastle no changes at the break. Spurs have brought on João Palhinha, the Portuguese international on loan from Bayern Munich, in place of Yves Bissouma in midfield. So a check on the two teams when we get an appropriate moment. United shooting towards the goal at the left, and that's the end of the ground where the away fans are, a section that stretches around the corner. And they are in their navy and orange third kit. Long ball up the pitch, Van der Ven back to Vicario, not the best clearance. Bruno with a header, Gordon is onside, edge of the box, Willock in the middle, Gordon's ball, Willock, it's come back to Bruno, and now Barnes trying to get the shot away. Barnes away from a sliding defender, gets turned, lifts it in, it's headed clear. They didn't make the most of that situation, United. They had a couple of goes at it. Spurs will be happy enough with the way they defended, but Newcastle still on the ball. On the attack, Barnes goes on the outside of Gray, finds Byrne, edge of the box, Ramsey for Gordon. Anthony Gordon beats one challenge, and then the ball is played off him and behind. It's a goal kick for Vicario, but a couple of nervy moments in the opening minute and a half of the second half, and it is a continuation of what we saw in the first 45
half time hasn't done Spurs any good. They have got a flea in their ear, but it most definitely hasn't done them any good because they've come out exactly the same.
Spence into midfield to Siemens, given away to Trippier. Here's Ramsey on for Elanga, approaching the area. Elanga into the box, goes down under a challenge. Anthony Taylor has a good look and gives nothing. Then Bruno wins the ball back, and it's Willock, 20 yards out. Willock tries a shot which is blocked. Trippier for Elanga, back out to Trippier, intercepted by Siemens. Haven't seen that challenge on Elanga again. Spurs managed to play it to Tell in a bit of space. They substitute who came on for Odebear in the first half. Tell goes away from Chow, still going, held up by Elanga, and Chow wins it back. This game is wide open, and Barnes turns his man. Barnes rolls it through. Willock edge of the area. Willock is saying it was stopped by a hand. Referee again having a good look. Gordon edge of the box. Shot deflects behind for a corner. Anthony Taylor.
Spurs are all over the shop.
They're going to the referee. Firstly about maybe the earlier challenge when Elanga seemed to be challenged by Spence in the box, but bundled over maybe, or perhaps not enough contact. And then the latest incident alleging that when it came to Willock, it was stopped by a Tottenham Hotspur hand. The referee seems happy enough that play can continue. No communication from VAR in terms of a check, and it will be a corner kick to Newcastle on the left, keeping the pressure on at the start of the second half. Bruno's delivery. Jacob Ramsey completely free, left-footed, 6 yards out, deflected behind for another corner.
This could end up being anything. The way Spurs have started this second half, it could be anything.
The problem is they just don't take enough chances, Newcastle. Enough of their chances. Bruno's delivery, headed down, Ramsey blocked, the follow-up blocked, Willock's got it, Willock's down in the middle of the area, nothing given. Joe Willock turns and looks at the referee, sitting down in the box with his arms outstretched. Anthony Taylor lets play go on. That's 3 shouts for a penalty they've had. None have been given. Spurs win it back on the near side. Bruno, good challenge. It's out for a throw. Now Anthony Taylor says wait. Dan Byrne went running after the referee. But play's just going to continue. It will not be a penalty for that challenge on Willock. Anything in that for you?
No.
Tangle of legs with Siemens. Now Spurs get a free kick on halfway for a challenge by Harvey Barnes. Well, at half-time they should have been further ahead, and in 5 second half minutes they could have had a couple more goals. It's only 1-0 to Newcastle United, but I'm not sure how it's only 1-0. Pope, the goalkeeper, Trippier, Chow, Botman, Byrne, Willock, Bruno, Ramsey, Elanga, Barnes, Gordon. That's the starting 11. Spurs almost lose it on halfway, but João Palhinha onto Siemens. Tell into the area, goes for the far top corner, misses the target.
Never on, was it? Never on.
United's bench tonight: Ramsdale, Hall, Tonali, Wissa, Osula, Jacob Murphy, Voltemada, Alex Murphy, Shahar. The Tottenham Hotspur team: Vicario, Gray, Dragusin, Van de Ven and Spence. Gallagher, Sarr, João Palhinha, Siemens, Tell and Solanke. They've already made 2 changes. And on the bench, goalkeeper Kinski, Souza, Kolomuani, Olusesi, Byfield, Williams, Barnett and Roswell. Newcastle have been awarded a free kick at left back. Gallagher fouling Ramsey, who had dispossessed him. Nick Pope comes across to take. It's more of the same, and I'm sure that would have been a key message from Eddie Howe at half-time.
Yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep getting in about them.
Header on by Dan Burn. Barnes trying to keep it in, gets there in the corner. Elanga comes short, goes back to Burn. Now Bruno. Oh no! First time ball towards Elanga, but not close enough to him to give him a chance of getting their goal kick. 52 on the clock. Short ball from the goalkeeper to Sarr, who was under pressure but retained possession. Now Vicario to Dragusin, brought up into midfield. Siemens helping it on. Flick there by Gallagher to Gray. Tackled by Byrne, but it rebounds off Gray. And now he's into the penalty area with a couple to pick out. Gray back towards Tell, and it's over the top.
He's drilled it, hasn't he? Thankfully. Got a little bit lucky with the tackle with Dan Bourne, just ricocheted away from Bourne.
Well, although there's a lot of frustration from the Spurs fans and a bit of anger directed towards the team, 19-year-old Archie Gray is one that they are very definitely behind. And he got up the pitch from right back to create that chance. Still 1-0 Newcastle. Spurs header. Solanke holds it up. Short sleeves and gloves for the centre forward tonight. He's given the ball away. Barnes in behind. Oh, look at the pace from Elanga. Now down as Dragusin makes a challenge. Dragusin took a chance there because he went to push Elanga and the referee again lets it go. Newcastle don't get a decision but cause problems for Spurs at the back. There's a counter-attack on now. Sarr, long way out, Pope, diving save to push it out. Fairly comfortable diving save from Nick Pope, and it's in midfield where Siemens picks it up and gives it away to Trippier, who then gets fouled by Tell.
Siemens has been poor.
I was going to say choose carefully.
Yeah. He hasn't tried a leg, he hasn't run around, he hasn't chased back. I'm amazed he's still out there.
Problem is, they've got Randall Kolomuani, a big name on loan from PSG, but hasn't scored in the league, and a left back from Brazil that they've just signed who's played once, and then four youngsters. That's it for outfield players with all their injuries. Offside against Gordon from the free kick. should have been a couple of goals up at least at half-time. Could have been further ahead in the second half. Malik Chow, the only name on the score sheet. Newcastle coach Graham Jones is told off by fourth official Gavin Ward because he crossed the line of the technical area and was almost on the pitch. Spurs look for Spence, who brings it down, and Langa's got it, beats his man, then plays it up to Willock. Good play by Elanga. Joe Willock wrestled off it, tries to win it back. Spurs get 2 on him and now have the ball just inside Newcastle's half, and it's Jed Spence. Conor Gallagher linking up the play, giving it wide left to Xavi Simons. It's opened up, he's come inside, and his shot is blocked by Jacob Ramsey. And then Elanga makes a challenge, but runs to halfway where Van de Ven keeps it in. It's a bit better from Spurs, and the atmosphere is getting noisier in the home sections. 10 minutes played in the second half. Gallagher on the left wing wins a free kick.
Foul by Willock.
Eddie Howe's black and white army called out by the Newcastle fans who've been singing the manager's name all night. He's gone to speak to the fourth official, Eddie Howe. He's got Wisser and Voltemada among the players warming up, but it's worked well with those in the 11 out there. Free kick to defend though on the touchline. 15 yards from the goal. Xavi Simons next to the ball for Tottenham Hotspur. It's clipped in. Bruno heads it to the back of the box. Sarr back in. Byrne gets up. João Palhinha with a header. A flick there from Gray and a clearance from Botman. And Newcastle win it through Willock and Ramsey. But it's well played by Tell to regain possession for Tottenham Hotspur, and Sarr up the far touchline, laid off to Simons. He floats it in. Pope comes and claims he could go quickly, which he does, trying to get it behind Gray, but it's cut out by the youngster. They look for Gordon, who gives Pope the thumbs up. And since those early Newcastle chances in the second half, Tottenham Hotspur have been having their best spell in the game. Now they've given it away to Bruno, who's won a free kick off Sarr. Near to the edge of United's penalty box. Here. And quick check on the other Premier League scores. 2-0 to Chelsea. Cole Palmer with a penalty against Leeds after João Pedro had opened the scoring. Everton 1, Bournemouth 0, and the 8:15 kick-off, goalless between West Ham and Man United. Dan Byrne has fouled Conor Gallagher. Went for the ball, missed the ball, took Gallagher down, and Byrne will be yellow carded after he apologises to Gallagher for that late challenge, mistimed.
Yeah, just knocked it by him, didn't he? This time the long leg wasn't long enough.
This is BBC Radio Newcastle. Said it was Spurs' best period in the game, and home fans really now participating, sensing that they might have a chance of getting back into it. Simons, it's about 6 yards from the goal line, close to the touchline, out swinging free kick, shot comes in, it's blocked by United. Here's Gordon bringing it away, and Willock, no, he's not going to get there, is he? It's out to the near touchline and off the pitch, and the Spurs throw on halfway. Ball had a bit too much force on it, despite Willock's efforts to get there. It was always going to beat him. Dragusin forwards, deflecting off Gordon, headed out by Byrne on halfway again. Jacob Ramsey, it's a foul on Gray. From the throw, Ramsey isn't retreating. Needs to get away from the ball. João Palhinha switches the play, looking for Tell, who doesn't keep it in. Kieran Trippier with a throw to take. Up the line to Elanga, beats one. And then it's blocked by Spence. There's two balls on the pitch, not for the first time tonight. The second ball is cleared away, and the one they're playing with goes back to goalkeeper Vicario. Anthony Gordon then tries to rush him, sprints towards the Italian. It's cleared.
Oh, how open is that?
United from the ball up the pitch, and Elanga onto Gordon, and they've got numbers in the box. Oh, but that's not a good ball in. There's a slip by Joe Willock, who apologises to 5 in Newcastle blue and orange.
How much room did Anthony Gordon have?
Lost his footing and his balance, Willock there, didn't he? Spurs played out short to the right, then back to the goalkeeper. Vicario across the box to the left to Van de Ven, who with 7 goals is their top scorer of those who are available. Elanga intercepting a ball across midfield. Newcastle have got it, they've got an advantage. And the referee stopped it, just a yellow card, Spence. Eddie Howe, Jason Tindall, straight to the 4th official. It's not the greatest advantage of an attacking phase of play that football has ever seen, but it's an advantage that could have been allowed to play out.
Well, he let one go in the first half, didn't he, which was a good advantage. It's an awful ball by Gallagher, isn't it? Just sells Spence really short.
Elanga took a kick, Spence's booked, and if Elanga shakes off the knock and is able to get 1v1, then that could be an interesting head-to-head. If they score from the free kick, we won't be whinging about the lack of advantage.
Well, you won't, but you will.
Well, some people might, because they could have played on. Bruno's ball, Byrne trying to head it forwards, Solanke's got it. Bruno makes a challenge, Gallagher trying to run in behind, Barnes is there with Gallagher, who's in the box, got to be careful not to foul him. Gallagher, cross hits the back of Barnes' leg, and Ramsey, some tidy play, back to Barnes, Ramsey again, onto Byrne, looking for Gordon. It was a bit risky, Gordon's kept it in, but only for Dragusin. Siemens, now for Gallagher. Gallagher's cross, Trippier takes the safe option of heading it behind, far side.
Yeah, good header. Good defending, got himself into a good area, didn't he? Kieran Trippier, back post. Nothing came from the free kick.
Well, Spurs counter-attack that's led to a corner. Just think he should have played the advantage. Yeah. Bit of wrestling going on in the 6-yard box. Ball to the back post, it's in. Headed across the box and put in by Archie Gray. Newcastle United dominant. They've been on top, but they haven't taken all their chances. And Spurs, who've really struggled tonight, have found a way back into the match. Kieran Trippier is complaining to the referee. There's 4 Newcastle players around Anthony Taylor, but Archie Gray has levelled it up, and it's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 1.
Well, I'm not too sure what... I don't see anything there. Do you see anything there, Razor?
Would want to see it again. Trippier went straight to the referee. Maybe he felt he was being held. I don't know. Tottenham players are now involved in the discussion with the referee, who says it's a goal that stands. Well, as much as we praised them for the way they played in the first half and the early minutes of the second half. We said that they were guilty of not taking chances. You said they didn't test Vicario enough, and it has come back to punish them. And Spurs, who don't deserve it, have found an equaliser. They are a very wasteful team in front of goal, Newcastle. There they are trying to respond. Barnes in the box, cross to the back post, too deep. Trippier's going to keep it in. He's outside the box, he's on the touchline, finds Bruno. Elanga's got it in the area. Elanga goes on the outside, plays it to Trippier, no offside. He hangs up across. Dragusin misses the header. Gordon over the top. Did it take a deflection? Yes, corner. Hard to tell what the complaints were when the corner was put in. Maybe some holding. Surely it didn't go back to the earlier decision that we were talking about, because there'd been a few phases of play since then. But if you don't score enough goals when you're on top, like they have been, this is what can happen.
Yeah, when you're on top the way that we have, you've got to take the chances that you create.
Bruno's deep corner, headed down. Ramsey trying to make something of it. Headed away by Tottenham Hotspur. Willock back out wide to Bruno. They've stayed up there. Bruno floating it in. It's a good ball. Botman's header. Chow. It's dropping. Surely they've got to finish it. What a block. What a block that is in the middle of the penalty area. And now Seaman's away from Trippier, and the referee says he dived and he's going to book him. He's the second Spurs player to go in the book for simulation. He knocked it around Trippier and went flying.
Well, that's typical of Simmons because he didn't want to run after it.
Yeah, no contact whatsoever. Well done, referee, on that occasion. Trippier put his hands up and made it clear that there was no contact.
He didn't want to run after it, that's why. Because he hasn't run after Anton all night.
And that block by Dragusin, centre of the box, when Barnes was slamming the ball towards goal, has kept Spurs level. But now, after the decent spell from the home side and their equaliser, Newcastle back to being dominant. Botman's header down from the free kick. Barnes blocked in the middle again. It's come out to Willock. He's got a man on. Willock, and he delayed his pass or shot and has lost it. And Elanga getting back on halfway, intercepts and plays it to Nick Pope. And it's a good job Elanga got there, because Spurs had a numerical advantage.
He's been awful as well, Gallagher.
Here's Barnes, edge of the area for Gordon. Sidesteps Gallagher, who's got back, then turns him and goes on the outside. Gordon could roll in. The goalkeeper. Yes, it's in. Joe Willock. No, it's Jacob Ramsey. Jacob Ramsey has scored for Newcastle United for the first time. It's all going on. Dan Burn was available. Gordon rolled it inside, and there was Ramsey with a first-time effort into the bottom corner. Jacob Ramsey, who came close in the first half, has scored, and Spurs were level for only minutes. Newcastle back in front, deservedly so. It was a strong response to conceding the equaliser, and Ramsey across Vicario with his left foot into the bottom corner. 68 minutes played. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 2.
Well, Spurs break and they give it away. Gallagher just makes a complete mess of it, and from that moment on they're in big trouble. They break, and it's a great little ball inside to Ramsey, and he just toe pokes it into the far corner away from Vicario. This is a great little ball, just played into outside of the right boot. There you go, put that in. Great finish.
I was about as confused as the Tottenham Hotspur defenders there, but it was Ramsey in the middle. It's a crowded penalty box and lots going on. Spurs are about to kick off. Joe Willock is needing treatment. I think it goes back to when he was about to get a shot away in Newcastle's attack prior to the goal being scored, and the turnover when Spurs went up the pitch before the Elanga interception. I don't know if he kicked the ground or kicked an opponent, and he's complaining to the referee. He looks quite angry, Joe Willock. He thought he should have been awarded a free kick. Anyway,
Gallagher's off.
A change by Tottenham Hotspur. You've not been impressed by Conor Gallagher, have you?
He's been awful.
His replacement is Randall Kolo-Muani, 27-year-old PSG player on loan to Spurs. A big name, but hasn't quite worked for him. There's a problem now. Dragusin,
free kick,
and Gordon from the Spurs kickoff. Dragusin went to
obstructed him.
Gordon.
He obstructed him.
Yeah, he did.
But you see this happens every game, and referees don't give it. Fair play to the referee.
Dragusin is penalised only with a free kick being awarded. Joe Willock's off the pitch. He's having to replace his boot. Gordon is all right. 20 minutes to play now on BBC Radio Newcastle, and Eddie Howe is yet to make a change, but he's got Tonali, Wissa, Asula, Voltemada, Jacob Murphy warming up, and down to 10 temporarily. Trippier with a free kick. It's come out to Gordon, edge of the area, first time shot, didn't go too far away from goal, caught it quite well but couldn't completely wrap his boot.
Hit it well, didn't he?
Yeah. Jacob Ramsey restoring Newcastle's lead in North London. Third meeting of the clubs this season, although they actually played in pre-season in South Korea in a match that finished level. They have seen a lot of each other in the campaign. Ramsey and Willock winning it back, and Gordon on halfway. Van der Ven with him, Gordon a step over, and it's been pulled down. It's a free kick. And Tonali and Murphy, who are warming up, applaud Anthony Gordon. He played that well. Having had the blow of conceding the equaliser, they are in front again, Newcastle United. And Kieran Trippier with a free kick. Can they extend their lead here? Headed on into the area towards Gordon. Ramsey challenging for it at the edge of the box. It's cleared. Willock, oh, that's a slice, and it's gone out wide. Willock with two challenges. One of them, the first, was a foul. It's behind the halfway line, left side.
Yeah, he had a wild swipe at it, didn't he?
Now, Chelsea were 2-0 up against Leeds, but Leeds have come back with 2 goals. Lucas Mecha with a penalty, and the other goal for Leeds to level it up has been scored by Noah Okafor, so it's 2-2 there. That's a surprise, and a turnaround for Bournemouth, who lead Everton by 2-1. Ryan and Amin Adli with Bournemouth's goals in the space of 3 second-half minutes. Here's Kolo-Muani on the outside, hanging up a cross. Got to be careful. Headed behind by Tell, who beat Trippier to the ball. But despite his determination to win it, he couldn't get the attempt on target.
Yeah, he didn't really fancy it, did he? He got up above him, but it was a turtle, wasn't it? Tucked his neck into his shoulders. Didn't really attack it with any venom.
Jacob Murphy's coming on for Anthony Elanga, who I would say, especially in the first half, when you consider all aspects of the game, that's his best performance.
Yeah, he's done all right. He's done all right. They've stood off him and invited him to put crosses in, and he stuck some decent balls into the box.
There was end product there, wasn't there, from Elanga, and he's getting a lot of love from the away supporters. He applauds back. Sandro Tonali has come on as well to replace the man who might be the match winner, Jacob Ramsey. Double change from Eddie Howe in the 75th minute. But good to see Elanga delivering good performances consistently. And Murphy and Tonali are on for Elanga and Ramsey. Confirmation of the double change. Trippier with a header inside to Chow. It's a bit risky. It's off Siemens, back to Trippier, and Pope away. Willock's made the run in behind here if they could find him. It's gone up off Gordon, and now it's come to Barnes. He's heading towards goal. Barnes inside for Tonali. Plays it back to Barnes in the area. Can't force his way through. Goal kick for Tottenham Hotspur. Willock challenged for it on the line, wide of the posts, but couldn't keep it in. 2-1, Newcastle United lead. And because Bournemouth are winning, they would move up to 10th from 12th, ahead of their Premier League matches tomorrow and on Thursday. So the table could all change again. But Spurs are dropping a place to 16th with Leeds level with Chelsea. Elanga has just returned to the bench. Voltemada, Sula and Wissa warm up. They're three strikers. Not out there. Trippier with a throw. Gordon wins a header, chases after his own flick. Dragos into Gray, middle of his own half. Barnes goes to close down. Gray turns and passes the ball back to the goalkeeper. Vicario, foot on it. Throw that to João Palhinha, close down by Tonali, straight back to Vicario, and a long ball this time towards Tell, who's flicked it on and out. Spurs' last home game saw a strong second half. They came from 2 down at half-time against Man City to draw 2-2. But only 4 of the last 26 Premier League home matches have ended in victory for Spurs under Thomas Frank and Ange Postecoglou. They're trying to get back in it here, but Malik Chow, that's a great block, edge of the area, stepping in to charge down the shot, and now Willock up the left wing. He's got Spurs players all around him, and he's lost out to Kolo Muani. Could have released it to Barnes. Trippier then intercepts a crossfield ball. Gordon with a header to Bruno, and the skipper on his chest plays it over to the right hand side. Murphy makes a challenge and wins a throw off Siemens. Got a bit lucky there, Newcastle, but they'll take it.
Got sloppy, didn't they?
BBC Radio Newcastle, and we're with you till 10 tonight. You can give us a ring on 0800 234 6565. 0800 234 6565. Call us now if you want to chat to Ando after the game. Barnes, 30 yards out on the touchline, comes in. Gray, he's got his hand on his shoulder. It's played to Bruno. That's a good ball. Sweeping it across to Trippier. Murphy on the outside on the touchline. And his cross hits Spence, could be handball, it's kept in. Gordon is out there with Jed Spence. Murphy, it might have been a foul by Murphy. It's instead a Spurs throw right by the corner flag.
Yeah, good pressure, wasn't it? Hemmed them in. Spence went looking for the free kick, he was never getting it.
It's a good burst up from the corner from Spence. Bruno then blocks a ball over midfield. Sarr inside, Bruno slides in to win it back for Newcastle United again, and then it goes out, and who gets the ball? Newcastle get the throw. They weren't sure. Referee and assistant Adam Nunn on the far touchline, but with 11 minutes to play they have a throw, and feels like what belief and hope there was around the Spurs equaliser is draining away again from the home fans, with Newcastle back in front. There is another ball on the pitch. That's the third time tonight that there's been 2 balls on the pitch. Here's Byrne. Barnes makes the run behind the defender. Byrne rolls it up the line. Spurs keep it in. Then it goes out off Kolo Muani from João Palhinha's pass. Where is this game heading, John Anderson? 10 minutes to play.
It's heading to 3 points. That's where it's heading.
Ball inside by Simons. After they win it back from the throw, Jacob Murphy tries to challenge Tell. He's won a corner. His shot is deflected behind. Corner on the far left-hand side.
Been the better side by a million miles, haven't they?
Malik Chow got his boot to that to turn it away from goal. It was from this side, though, that they delivered a corner that was headed back across and then headed in. So Newcastle have to have their setup right from this set piece. They cannot let Tottenham Hotspur back into the game. They simply can't. An in-swinging corner. Dragusin heads it across the box. Pope, big punch. They let it bounce. Kolo Muani. Gordon's won it. Oh, now he's got the chance to run into the Spurs half, but the goalkeeper Vicario, good starting position. Gordon's touch was maybe a bit heavy, and it's cleared by Vicario back up to the Newcastle end of the pitch. That would have almost been a comical way for Spurs to concede. Now, Bruno has won a free kick on the right after a challenge from Murphy, and the ball ran loose. Murphy on Tell, and Tonali helped him out. I think Spurs wanted a free kick. Siemens just threw Bruno to the floor. Yellow card has been shown to either Thomas Frank or a member of his coaching staff. I think it's one of the backroom team. Frank, 9-4 favourite for next Premier League manager to leave, according to bookmakers' odds this afternoon.
I'll tell you what, he could be gone tonight.
Straight into the last 16 of the Champions League. Done well in Europe. The Europa League winners from last year. Ball is with Jacob Murphy. He uses it well, giving it to Byrne. Oh, that's overhit. Barnes just keeps it in. They're in the Spurs half. Shooting towards the left. Newcastle on a 2-1 lead. Bruno away from Solanke. Across halfway to Chow. Trippier. Murphy a few yards up ahead of him. Chipped forwards towards Willock, but intercepted by midfielder Sarr. Then given away to Chow to flick. Let's come to Solanke, but he's all alone. Surrounded by Newcastle players. Chow sticks with him. It's laid off to João Palhinha, and now Siemens. They've given it away here, and they have to defend. In it comes. It's an important header, and then a swinging clearance from Murphy. Van der Ven lets the ball bounce, plays it back to the keeper. Vicario on to Dragusin. Still got his 3 strikers warming up. Lewis Hall has joined them, but Eddie Howe talking to Jason Tindall, not seemingly thinking about another change just yet. They look for Gray, who's brought it down close to the edge of the box, away from Barnes. Byrne intercepts, chips it forwards. Tonali, left wing, Gordon ahead of him. Tonali, shoulder to shoulder, and loses out to João Palhinha. Kolo Muani off the right. Good block by Bruno on the edge of the penalty area. Bruno sticks with Kolo Muani, who turns, giving Spurs a little bit of encouragement here. João Palhinha to Kolo Muani, laid off to Sarr. He's got it on his right, heading across to the left. Tell to Kolo Muani in the area. Bruno dispossesses him and drags it away. Great from Bruno. And now Willock at this late stage of the game. He's not going to sprint after that. It was into space, in behind, but Tottenham Hotspur have it again. Lewis Hall is called back to the bench, and Nick Voltemade is waved out by Jason Tindall. Might be a double change, another one. Gray with a cross from the right. Pope is watching it, and Pope pulls it down and lands with the ball in his hands, on his knees, on the floor. 85th minute on BBC Radio Newcastle. Our WhatsApp number 08000 321 333. Put BBC at the start of your message. Botman up to Gordon, laid off. Bruno through the middle.
You're not going to run him.
But Van de Ven was closest to the ball. And as you say,
he's a bit quick.
He's got it, the recovery pace you need if he needs to recover. João Palhinha, flighted ball into the box, headed down by Newcastle. Nick Pope comes and will now pick it up. Botman was there for extra cover with Solanke lurking. Pope then puts it down. It's outside the box. It's through the middle. Gordon's chasing. Just dropped in behind Dragusin, whose backward header falls nicely for Sarr. Could have gone anywhere. Sarr's ball towards Kola Mawani inside, but two players got in each other's way. Kola Mawani and Siemens, and Byrne in space now has got it. Up to the feet of Barnes, inside to Tonali. He's let it run for Botman. Spurs have won it back. There has been a bit of sloppiness. That's the word you used a few minutes ago, Ando. They still lead 2-1, Newcastle. Should be a much bigger margin of lead and potentially victory. João Palhinha looking to return a ball to Gray in the area. Barnes cuts it out. Barnes now shielding the ball near the corner. He's found Bruno up the line from the skipper. Nobody there in Newcastle colours. And Eddie Howe, Jason Tindall wave them forwards, but it comes back at them from halfway. Sarr now to Spence. Dragusin into the box.
Oh, he's... Oh, what was that?
Yeah, it was a funny ball in, wasn't it? Pope, long ball up the pitch. It bounces up into the hands of his opposite number, Vicario. 3.5 minutes of normal time to play. Voltemada is ready. Ball in behind by Spurs. Pope came and now gets
nobody
back.
Up there.
Retreats. Kept in by Tell, who hangs up a high cross. Might be too much on it for Kola Mawani. He's run out onto it on the near touchline and then ended up on the floor. No foul. Tonali's got it. Closed down. Tonali's won a free kick. William Osula's coming on along with Nick Voltemada. Graham Jones giving Osula a pat on the back before he's introduced. Voltemada for Willock, who looks absolutely shattered. He's put in some shift. He scored a brilliant goal, Joe Willock. It was a great strike. His forehead was offside. Showed the VAR graphic, so the goal was ruled out. It would have made it 1-0 shortly before half-time.
Tyndall's been yellow carded.
Again. Got one of those. When did he get one of those? Was it at Liverpool? Anyway, disappointing for Joe Willock because he would have had a really good goal to add to the one that he scored in Paris. And Voltemada on for him, and Osula replaces Gordon, who's worked it well, led the line well, I'd say, Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, he's worked the socks off again, hasn't he? He's closed down, he's chased.
Another change, double change from Eddie Howe. They are 2-1 in front here on BBC Radio Newcastle. Byrne, that's a towering header inside. Spurs away, could be a push there on Murphy. Newcastle have got it back anyway. Murphy looking for Osula, who is playing through the middle. Spurs have a player down, and then Bruno's going to get a yellow card for a challenge, and he's hurt himself in the process, Bruno, and now he's gone down, and he signals to the bench, Bruno, that he needs some help and some treatment. So in the act of stopping Xavi Simons, he might well have caused himself an injury. Lewis Hall is ready to come on. It's a very late substitute, but it might have to be for Bruno, unless it was always the plan to take the skipper off. But he's down and the physios come sprinting on. 89 minutes exactly on the clock, and the navy seats around Tottenham Hotspur Stadium are
nice colour, aren't they?
They are a lovely colour. They might all be padded seats. certainly are right behind us at the back of the main stand. It's I don't know, about 20 rows up behind us, and then some executive boxes right at the top. There's a few layers of executive boxes and hospitality seating. And we're watching down from on high as Lewis Hall stands ready to come on, as lots of Tottenham Hotspur fans head home. Bruno is helped, dragged up to his feet. Sounds like "sacked in the morning" is being chanted, and because of the volume, that cannot be from the away end. That's home fans singing it.
I mean, in all honesty, what does it tell you about the Champions League? I mean, if this lot finished third, was it third or fourth they finished?
I'll tell you, 4th above Barcelona.
Dear oh dear.
There's a minimum of 6 additional minutes. We are into the first of those on BBC Radio Newcastle. Our text number for our post-match conversation with John Anderson, 81333. Do send us a message and put BBC at the start. On X, it's at BBC Newcastle. Spurs played out to the right wing. Lewis Hall has come on for Bruno. Looks like a dead leg to me. They cannot afford to lose him. They've just got him back from injury. Dragusin is going to take a long throw for Spurs. 0800 234 6565 is the number to ring us on if you'd like to talk live on the radio. Dragusin's long throw to the near post. Hall, easy header away, and now look at this, Osula with a pace and support on the far side from Murphy. Can he play the pass? Osula with Dragusin on his shoulder, he's still going, trying to come inside away from Spence. The two of them stop Osula, and he's got the pace to threaten, but was there the awareness or the control there that Newcastle needed?
No.
Bruno serenaded by the away fans. He's making his way behind the goal. He's dragging his leg. It's clearly taken a whack, and it's a genuine injury. Here's Siemens, 30 yards out. Square ball to Dragusin. 2-1 to Newcastle United. Jacob Ramsey's first goal for the club might be the winning goal. Malik Chow in the first half. Archie Gray equalised in between. Here's Siemens again, central position to Van de Ven. Every Spurs player is in or near to the edge of Newcastle's box. Van de Ven to João Palhinha, dangerous cross, Botman, big header. It's dropping for Tell, he's miskicked it. Solanke overhead kick blocked by Byrne. Oh, that's crucial from Byrne. Tonali, Tonali down in the box, and then it's lashed over by Spurs. Surely Tonali got kicked. Anthony Taylor didn't give it. Spurs played on.
Van de Ven
has
just lashed it.
But a big header from Botman and a huge block from Dan Byrne in the middle of the area, in amongst all of that.
Yeah, he just lashed at it, didn't he?
Three minutes gone in the additional period. Bruno's not even back at the bench yet. Such as his difficulty in moving. Lewis Hall takes it away from Kolo Muani, and Hall, fresh legs, gets away from him a second time, and he could thread it through for Barnes. He's instead come out to the corner. Osula nearby. They could have gone for a third goal there. Hall,
goal kick.
He's played it off Osula and behind, I think.
West Ham are winning against Manchester United.
Who scored the goal?
Don't know.
Okay. But it's 1-0 West Ham against Man U. That Man United fan who was going to, you've seen him, is not going to cut his hair until they win 5 in a row. I think this is the 5th game. His hair is incredible.
Thomas Soucek.
Thank you. He might have to let it grow.
Yeah, you want him to have it, he'll give it to you.
Dragusin, the player in question there. Hall challenges for it with Kolo Muani. The Tottenham forward comes away with the ball. Dan Byrne makes a challenge on Siemens. 94 minutes 20 seconds. 2-1 to Newcastle United. Jacob Ramsey, who in our view keeps getting better and better, might have swept in the winning goal, but they've still got some defending to see out here. United, edge of the area for Spurs. Voltemada intercepts, tries to bring it away. He finds Barnes, intelligently played back to Hall, and then just smashed over halfway, and it'll go out in the Spurs half. And Eddie Howe and Graham Jones waving Newcastle up the pitch. Referee might play on beyond the minimum 6. Ball in behind for Tell, he won't get there. It bounces over the digital advertising board and into the fans behind the goal. Thomas Frank folds his arms and he's got a rather haunted look across his face. It's hard to see him staying at Spurs long term, or perhaps even short term, like you suggested, Ando. Only 2 wins in the last 15 Premier League away games over 2 seasons. Newcastle getting told off on the touchline because they've got 3 members of staff. And you're only allowed 1. Pope's goal kick sails out of play on the near side. 20 seconds of the 6 minutes is all that remains, but Anthony Taylor may allow it to go on. Spurs back to Vicario, and now Gray, closed down by Osula, but lifted forwards. Header from Chow. Van der Ven with a header. Burn away, Osula climbs, it at least stops João Palhinha nodding it forwards. The 6 minutes are up. Anthony Taylor looks at his watch. Spence on halfway, forwards to Siemens, chased by Osula. Siemens, edge of the area, Tonali clears. Osula had gone back in to defend, so the clearance goes up the pitch, but only to a Spurs player. Newcastle had nobody advance into the box. Headed on and into the hands of Nick Pope in the 6-yard box. And Newcastle United have won. It's 2-1 at the final whistle. It should have been a bigger margin of victory. It should have been much more comfortable than it was. But it is a vital 3 points, ending a run of 3 straight Premier League defeats. And a bad sequence that had seen them win only 1 in 8 in all competitions, and they were booed off against Brentford on Saturday night after losing at home. Today the boos at full time are for Tottenham Hotspur's players and manager Thomas Frank, who is under real pressure. Newcastle United climbing the Premier League table from 12th at the start of the evening into 10th as it stands, with a victory and 3 points in North London. Chow in the first half in added on time. Gray with an unlikely equaliser, but 4 minutes later on 68, Ramsey swept in for his first goal for the club, and it's the winner tonight. And it's more trouble for Tottenham Hotspur, but Newcastle needed that, John Anderson.
Big style.
They deserved it.
Big style, made hard work of it as well. Should, as you said, should have been more comfortable against better sides. You won't get away with it. You know, look, we dominated, but yet again we haven't worked the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's had no saves to make. We've thrown plenty of crosses in, we've had plenty of corners, had plenty of set pieces. Didn't make the best of them. You know, we've got to be doing better, especially with the height that we've got in the side. But look, it was an important win. It was a deserved win in the end.
And it's a rare away win as well, which is being enjoyed now by 3,000 travelling supporters. Kieran Trippier leads the applause from the Newcastle United squad. The staff are on their way up to join them and the rest of the team. He made changes tonight, and the team wasn't particularly well received when it was announced at 6:15, but those who came in did well, like Ramsey and Elanga. Gordon, we said, did a decent job. The concern was burn up against Odebear in the first half, but the Spurs winger Wilson Odebear went off injured. That probably helped Newcastle, but they'd started well enough anyway, even with that concern in behind.
Yeah, Odebear was getting in, 2 or 3 times he got in behind Bourne down that left-hand side, our left-hand side, and then he picked up that injury didn't look too serious. He walked off, but it was. You can see what it means to Eddie Howe.
They pushed Eddie Howe forward towards the fans in the corner.
He knows how important that win is, because if hadn't have won here tonight, pressure would have been really, really on him and would have mounted up. So it's a big, big win.
Eddie Howe was given a moment. It was the players, Bruno and Trippier, it looked like, who told him to go forwards, gave him the encouragement to go and take the acclaim, which he would normally want to avoid. Only time I can remember him doing that was at Wembley, when they gave him the trophy and he ran towards the fans. And under pressure, with the bad run of results and questions over performances and other things, and saying at the weekend that he needs to do his job better, and facing questions in press conferences about whether he's the right man to lead the club forwards. Well, he has led them to a victory tonight, and whatever supporters in the away end, and there'll be some in the away end who have their doubts, because it will be some match going fans and not just fans who comment on social media, who aren't fortunate enough to be at games, who have strong views against the manager. But what they've seen tonight, they cannot complain about, because the performance was a winning performance. They should have won by more, so it's only right that if there's criticism when they don't win, that there is praise and affection and support for the manager and the players when they do win.
I go along with a lot of that. Said beforehand it was probably a good time to play Spurs. I mean, we should have won it by more. Spurs were so open and so stretched. We didn't take advantage of it, and then we give a bad equaliser away, and that's a problem. That will be a concern, for a side that's been on top the length of time that we have in the game. Spurs created absolutely nothing, and that they get a goal out of nothing as well. A set piece that we should defend better, that we didn't. And then we had to go chasing the game again, and look, deserved to win, no doubt about it, but there'll be tougher games to come, there's no doubt about that. Spurs were poor on the night, but you can only beat what's put in front of you, and we should have beaten them by an awful lot more.
FA Cup at Aston Villa on Saturday night, a match you can listen to live on BBC Radio Newcastle and the BBC Sounds app. And if your spirits are high, and I'm sure they are after tonight's victory at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, given by the goal from Jacob Ramsey to win it 2-1 in the second half, and he's doing an interview on television on the pitch. Great for him, great moment for him, one that he deserves and he's been working for. But if you're feeling good and you want more Newcastle United, well, stay with us till 10. Simon Pride will be here alongside John Anderson in a moment. Give us a ring on 0800 234 6565, or if you're texting, put BBC at the start of your message and send it to 81333. And if you search for Newcastle United on BBC Sounds, then you can listen to our programme looking back at the 4-4 draw against Arsenal, which was 15 years ago last week. We spoke to Steve Harper and Kevin Nolan, who played that day, John Carver, who was back as part of the staff, Mick Lowes, who's our commentator on BBC Radio Newcastle then. We heard from an Arsenal fan and a couple of Newcastle supporters, so if you want something to listen to tonight after we finish our discussion at 10 o'clock, search for Newcastle United on BBC Sounds and listen to our look back at the 4-4 draw with Arsenal. Tonight they have picked up a vital victory, one that takes them up to 10th in the Premier League table. Malik Chow in the first half, Archie Gray equalised, Jacob Ramsey got the winner. Big result for Eddie Howe and for his players. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Newcastle United 2.
Anna Foster. Weekday mornings from 10.
On apps like Facebook, Instagram, there's a new option to pay a monthly subscription for ad-free use. We thought let's enlist the help of a tech expert, Will Guyot.
We all signed up to maybe Facebook 10, 15, sometimes almost 20 years ago, and we never read the terms and conditions then. And somebody said to me the other day to read the full terms and conditions on Meta's platforms would take you something like 16 hours. And I'm not even exaggerating, there's so many pages tucked away and sub-clauses and da-da-da-da-da, because it's been built up over time.
Anna Foster. Weekday mornings from 10.
Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
And this is Simon Pride in the Total Sports studio. Thank you for the messages that are already coming in on 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp, 81333 on text, with the letters BBC at the beginning. I'll put quite a lot of your points, as many as I can, to Ando between now and 10 o'clock this evening. Ando standing by to take your calls as well on 0800 234 6565. So do give us a bell if you'd like to have your say after Newcastle's 2-1 win at Tottenham Hotspur this evening. A much needed victory. Tottenham in all sorts of trouble towards the bottom of the Premier League, but that win has boosted Newcastle's position. Let me run through everything else that has been happening this evening. Firstly, in the Premier League, and a comeback from Leeds United, who were 2 down at Chelsea, but 2-2 it finished at Stamford Bridge. Everton were leading Bournemouth, but Bournemouth also made a comeback and scored twice. So Bournemouth have beaten Everton by 2-1 at the Hill Dickinson this evening. And West Ham United, in the later 8:15 kickoff, currently lead Manchester United by 1-0. Thomas Soucek with the goal for West Ham. We'll keep an eye on that one. Leicester City 3, Southampton 3 in the Championship. Leicester were 3 goals to the good very early on in that game. Southampton in the second half have pegged them back. They're into injury time now at the end of that match, but it is 3-3. Leicester still desperately in need of points towards the bottom of the Championship. 3 important points for Norwich City, who have won at Oxford by 3-0. And still 10 minutes or so left at St Andrews. Birmingham City 0, West Bromwich Albion 0, a West Midlands derby. So again, we'll keep you updated if there are any further goals in that one. Peterborough lead Mansfield by 2-1 at Mansfield. That's in League One in the closing stages of that game, and it is finished Wigan 1, Reading 2 in League Two. Neither of these ones have quite finished yet. Cambridge 2 up at Crawley Town, and Shrewsbury lead Barrow by 2-1. In the Scottish Premiership, the Edinburgh Derby, still the deadlock to be broken there. Hearts 0, Hibs 0. In Scottish League 1, Montrose 1, Peterhead 1 in League 2. Annan 1, Dumbarton 0. And it's Clyde 1, Elgin City 1. Now, to the National League, they're into injury time, and it looks as though Gateshead are on their way to another defeat. It's 1-0 at Boston United. It was an early goal for Boston. Gateshead haven't been able to get back on level terms, so it does look as though they are on the way to defeat there. The other scores in the National League, Altrincham 1, Wealdstone 0. It's Carlisle 3, Scunthorpe 2, Morecambe 2, Tamworth 2, Solihull Moors 2, Eastleigh 3, and Truro City, another side struggling in the relegation zone, at 0, Woking 2. In the National League North, South Shields away at Scarborough Athletic, and the latest score there is 2-2 now. They're deep into injury time. South Shields were 2 goals to the good, but Scarborough have pegged them back, which could be costly. Filed, the team in closest pursuit of South Shields at the top of National League North, are going to win tonight. They are 5-0 up on Spennymoor Town. South Shields hoping their northeast neighbours might do them a favour this evening, but not to be. So Filed are winning. South Shields are drawing. They're not final scores just yet, but I will keep you updated. Ando still at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, as long as he hasn't popped off to the loo again. You still there, Ando?
Hello, Pridey.
Good stuff. So, let's analyse this game a bit more. I'll put some messages to you in a moment. I mean, a strange match in some ways. I think that's partly down to the immense pressure that Thomas Frank is under, even more than Eddie Howe. I mean, Spurs, I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you what, let me put this question to you. If you were to sum up the game in one sentence, how would you sum it up?
In one sentence,
yes,
we should have won it by more.
Yeah, they created the chances.
We absolutely, totally dominated for so long in that game. That you've got to, when you're on top the way we were, you've got to convert the chances that we had into goals, and we didn't do that, and it looked like we were going to pay the penalty for it when they equalised, but it showed a lot of guts to go and get a winner. And the player who got it, Ramsey, I've been shouting about him for a while. He's come in for criticism, Pridey, from people, supporters saying, he doesn't look this, he doesn't look that. My argument has always been he hasn't had enough game time. He needs games under his belt. He needs a string of games. I thought he was absolutely outstanding tonight for us. I really did. I thought he was, deserved the goal. And I wouldn't have taken him off because, as I say, I thought he was great tonight.
A lot of talk ahead of the match about the team that Eddie Howe picked without, again, a recognised striker. How did you feel that they played with that shape and those personnel?
Yeah, I think he got it right. You'd have to say that he got it right because we won the game. Gordon yet again playing a centre forward, ran his socks off, closed centre backs down, closed goalkeeper down. Alanga got plenty of space on that right side. They never closed him down. Gave him space and time to stick crosses into the penalty area. Same on the other side with Barnes, never got close to him. The game was, Spurs were so open and so stretched that it was unbelievable. When you broke on them, they were just loads and loads of space to go and play in. We took advantage of it.
Southampton have completed their comeback. They've won 4-3 at Leicester City, ridiculously, after being 3 down very early in the game. Yes, so Leicester's problems towards the bottom of the Championship continue. Gateshead have lost, I'm afraid. Full-time whistles blown there. South Shields have drawn. I will take you through the Northern Premier League scores before we finish tonight as well. Plenty of our teams in action there. Let's do a couple of messages, then chat to Steve. What a game, says this one. No name on it. We deserve those 3 points. Alanga and Willock were outstanding. I still think we were robbed with Willock's goal, but 3 points, all that matters. This one from Gaz says, yes, we should have scored 4 or 5. Taking our chances is still not happening, but this was a massive win. We are still within reach of Europe if we can take this as a turning point and build on it, says Gaz, which you would hope might happen, Ando.
Yeah.
You don't sound too sure.
Look, we played okay. Let's not get carried away. We weren't brilliant. We were playing against a really poor Spurs side. There's no doubt about it. Spurs were absolutely abysmal. They were so open. They were so stretched. We'll come up against better sides, and we deserve to win. There's no doubt about that. We deserve to win by more. But I wouldn't get carried away just yet.
Hearts have scored against Hibs. Big goal in the Edinburgh Derby. Big goal in the Scottish Premiership title race. Darryl has sent a message. He says, massive result. Spurs were awful, but we created a lot of chances and really dominated the game. I was worried when we weren't finishing our chances, but a wonderful piece of play won us the game. My only criticism is that changes should have come soon. About 3 points is the most important thing. Away the lads, says Darryl. Thank you for your message, Darryl. Steve, good evening.
Evening, lads. How's everyone doing?
Hey, Steve.
Very well, thank you, Steve. What are your post-match thoughts?
Well, do you mind if I mention Spurs first and Thomas Frank before going to Newcastle?
Go for it.
Well, when he first got the job at Spurs, I was saying, no. He was doing very well with the club he was beforehand, and everyone's known for a long time. There's a lot of things going wrong at Spurs just now, on the pitch and behind the scenes. But tonight's game, a while back I came on the phone-in show and said, when Miggy left, I'd go to the central station, buy my pint, shake his hand, say, thank you, mate. And the same thing with Matt Ritchie. Because if you're a real football fan, you don't mind if a player makes a mistake on the pitch, even scores an own goal or gives a penalty away. If they've run their hearts out, come out legs hurting, hearts bursting, lungs bursting, you don't mind that as long as they put the effort. Those two lads did for us. Tonight, if it wasn't for professional football contracts, I would sack about 4 or 5 of those Spurs players.
Were they that bad, Ando? Was Spurs that bad?
Yeah. In a word, there was a few of them out there who you wouldn't like them in the trenches with you, that's for sure. When the going got tough and you had to roll your sleeves up, they didn't want to know. But look, that's their problem. We've always mentioned about Spurs. When Spurs always came to St James's, we always used to batter them, and you always said they have a soft centre and they don't like coming north. They obviously don't like it down here either, because they were, there wasn't a lot of fight and wasn't a lot of heart in that Spurs side tonight.
There was one lad that stuck out for me in the Spurs side, and that was the young lad. I think, his name's just gone for us.
Didn't stand out that much then.
Yeah, his name's doing it for the same. His dad was a professional footballer as
Gray.
well.
Archie Gray.
Archie Gray.
Yeah, Archie Gray.
He was born in Durham.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you're a real football fan, you don't mind if a player noses up as long as they put the effort in. But the first half for us, we had about, I think it was 9 or 10 corners. The height we've got with Byrne and Botman, Chow, we should have converted at least one of them. 9-10 penalties.
We don't make the best of them, do we? We don't.
Over the last,
we had a lot. We had an awful lot of corners in the first half, and we didn't make the best of them. But look, tonight was all about getting the win. This was a huge game. The result is massive for everybody. You can take a lot of confidence, a lot of belief out of it. Questions were asked after the Brentford game, the way things went at St James's at the weekend. So this was always going to be huge, always going to be massive, and they've come out of it. They've gone. They've done what they've had to do. They've gone and they've got the 3 points and move on to the FA Cup of the weekend against Villa.
Yes, FA Cup next. Steve, thank you very much. Always good to hear from you. Michael in Herworth says, big win for the Toon. Does this put to bed the question about how staying, Ando? I don't know if there was a massive question about that for the time being, but I mean, obviously some fans were posing that question. But say what you like, it's a good match when Ando starts joking about the colour of the away team's seats, says Michael.
Yeah, they're a lovely colour.
Yes.
Seen plenty of them. I've seen plenty of them, yeah. And that was during the game as well.
I mean, I don't think Howe's position...
They're a lovely shade of navy.
I don't think Howe's position was under any imminent threat. However, this result would have
so it shouldn't be.
Yeah, this result would have still, they're in the world of good and bought some time with those who are getting impatient.
Yeah, at the end when they went to the supporters, you could see how relieved he was. He knew how big a win this was. He doesn't usually go to fans on his own, but he got chucked in there by Trippier and one thing and another. But you could see how much he knew this result meant and how important it was tonight.
I promised you results from the Northern Premier League, so I'll bring you those now. As I say, a few of our teams in action. Hebburn in the Premier League of the Premier Division of the Northern Premier League. They drew 1-1 at Hensford Town. Consett, good win for them over Grimsby Borough. They won by 3-0. Heaton Stannington went down 2-1 at Lincoln United. Good win on the road for Dunstan at North Ferriby by 1-0. So those are the results there from the Northern Premier League. And in the Premier League, West Ham still lead Manchester United by 1-0. Let me do some of the messages that have been sent tonight. Thanks to everyone who's taken the time to message us after the game. William says, big win that. Should have been much more comfortable and would have been with a top striker. I didn't like the team, but selections and tactics work, and that takes pressure off the manager, says William.
Yeah, look at it. There was a lot of questions asked, and there was a lot of eyebrows raised when they seen the team again, because there was no striker. He had 3 of them on the bench. He put Gordon through the middle, and look, I think it worked again. He, as I say, he chased, he harried, he got in about centre backs, he closed the goalkeeper down. He obviously brought Voltemade on late on, but if it hadn't have gone right, questions would have been asked. But look, it did go right. We got the result, and we should have won it by more.
This one is from Chris in Ottawa Valley in Canada. Thank you for listening from across the pond, Chris. He says, priceless 3 points tonight. Should have been out of sight by the time they equalised, but we never do anything straightforward. Big Dan looked rusty tonight. I thought his distribution was poor and he needed Barnes to bail him out a few times, but we've come away with 3 points and have rested mostly Hall, Tonali, Voltemade and Wissa for Saturday. Ramsey, good finish, and he was player of the match tonight. Elanga, much improved too, says Chris.
Yeah, I've already mentioned Ramsey. I think he's getting better game by game. He covers the ground well. He's a good mover, carries the ball well, and his finish was great. It was a great little ball by Barnes outside of his right foot, and he's just helped it on. He's just toe poked it into the far corner. It was a great finish. Elanga, delivery especially in that first half, got loads of space. And his delivery stuck it into good areas. We just couldn't get on the end of it. Willock worked his socks off, ran, chased, was really unlucky. Was really, really unlucky with the goal that was disallowed, because it's a great finish. I mean, and it's his arm that's offside.
Well, apparently it's his head. His head, part of his head was offside.
The picture I've seen, it looks like his arm's offside.
It looks like his arm. Yeah, no, his arm was further forward. But I think, it has to be. Yeah, I think it has to be, as you say, a part of the body you can score with. And I think it's part of his head. I mean, it's fractions of centimetres. It looks like. What about Elanga? Because he's taken plenty of criticism this season, but he seems to be finding the form of which we knew he was capable.
Yeah, a little bit quieter in the second half, as I say. He got space and time on in the first half, and his delivery was good. He stuck it into good areas. When they stood off him, he just whipped it in there. We just couldn't get on the end of it. And again, a little bit like Jacob Ramsey. The more games he plays, and the more run of games that he gets, you would think he's going to get better and better, and that's what he needs. He needs a run of games.
This result, as things stand, puts Newcastle back in the top half of the table, 36 points, just above Sunderland on goal difference. Sunderland, of course, play tomorrow. Bournemouth have gone above Newcastle because they won at Everton tonight. Both Bournemouth and Everton just 1 point ahead of Newcastle. All remains very tight in the middle of the Premier League. Now, occasionally people send in pictures or screenshots, Ando, of their betting slips. And do you know what? It's a funny thing. Whenever they do that, you can guarantee that it's a winning betting slip. No one ever sends in pictures of their losing betting slips.
No, I never. I can send you in a few of them if you want.
You don't need to. But yes, Floyd from Morpeth has done that. He had a bet on 2-1 to Newcastle this evening. Odds of around 10-1, I think. So he's happy enough with how the evening has gone. Well done, Floyd. And Jack has also sent a message. Good win, Pridey. It was a massive win. They should now have confidence going into the Villa game. I said that when Thomas Frank took the job at Spurs, that he was making a terrible mistake. And now I still say it. I think he might be gone tonight. Leeds drawing didn't help. And now Spurs are 16th, and with West Ham winning as well. They're not far above the drop zone. And Ando asks Jack, is this one of the worst Spurs sides that you've seen Newcastle play? If not the worst, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, Glenn Hoddle was here tonight, and all he kept doing was shaking his head.
Yes.
I mean, he would have got on that midfield tonight, even at his age, and would have. He's had a bad heart as well, but he would have done more in that midfield than their midfield players did. It's amazing, you watch Spurs tonight and you think they were bad, and then you look at that Champions League and see that they actually finished fourth in that, and you think, what does that tell you about the Champions League?
Yes.
Chance of winning this Champions League, I'm telling you.
Well, any English side probably has a chance to win the Champions League. If you just look at the evidence you've just talked about there with Spurs and how well they've done the Champions League compared to the Premier League. You look at all the other teams. Look at Arsenal's Champions League form. They're well on top in the Premier League and the same in the Champions League. But they are obviously beatable, and so I mean, you saw the way that Newcastle played against the European champions in Paris and gave them a game with a lot of players out. So, I know. Well, why not? We'll talk more about Europe when that comes around again. But Ando, thank you very much indeed for your contribution tonight.
Cheers, Brady.
Ando back on Total Sport tomorrow evening. FA Cup will take centre stage next for Newcastle. Sunderland taking centre stage on BBC Radio Newcastle tomorrow night with their game against Liverpool. Tonight was a night when two under-fire managers came together, and it was Eddie Howe who's the happier tonight. Good night.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
On for Bruno. It's come back to Elanga. Chance to deliver. It's on his left. He decides not to cross and instead play it back to Willock. He drives it in. Oh, good save from the header. And the follow-up is rolled in by Malik Chow. And surely this one will stand. Chow's header beaten out by Vicario. But on the follow-up, the defender poked the ball in. And minutes after Joe Willock had one chalked off for a narrow offside call, Malik Chow has put Newcastle United in front in first half added on time. Bit of wrestling going on in the 6-yard box. Ball to the back post, it's in. Headed across the box and put in by Archie Gray. Newcastle United dominant. They've been on top, but they haven't taken all their chances. And Spurs, who've really struggled tonight, have found a way back into the match. Here's Barnes, edge of the area for Gordon. Sidesteps Gallagher, who's got back, then turns him and goes on the outside. Gordon could roll in. The goalkeeper, yes, it's in. Jacob Ramsey has scored for Newcastle United for the first time. It's all going on. And Spurs were level for only minutes.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
Play BBC Radio Newcastle.
and on your radio.
The sound of the North East is BBC Radio Newcastle.